Button is pushed. Scary, snowy, horror time discussion is a go. Hello, folks. Welcome to Double Feature Horror Show episode 38 that kind of looks like episode 30. This is a bad font. Let's not worry about that, though. I hope you're all well. I know this is a popular one. I try and give a breadth of options when I do the audience choice episode. Frankly, this time that may have been a bit pointless because I don't know if everyone has a problem with The Empty Man, or was it Possessors? What was the one you wanted, Haryan?
Possessor was the one I wanted because it was
Possessor.
Sci-fi horror, and I'm like, oh, that's exclusively what I'll push for.
Oh,
because I like sci-fi.
Yeah, and you know, for all the shilling of Mike Flanagan I've been doing for nearly 2 years, no, Oculus didn't get a look in. Frankly, Misery absolutely swept this as if it were fortified, as if some votes for Misery had just turned up at 3 a.m. It's a Christmas miracle, guys.
That is an oof.
Am I going to be that guy that goes against that narrative?
No, because
the vote was fair. It was fair.
No, we can't. We're not going to go into any other issues. We've got so much to cover tonight. We've got tons. We have possibly a Poe joining us later. I know she was keen to get on. We've got discussion of DVD commentaries, and we've got an incredibly meaty film to sink our teeth into. So we're not going to talk about any shenanigans that may or may not have occurred. But I'm delaying too much already. Sorry, guys. I'm excited to do this one. But before any of that, I should say hello to our guests. Hello, Haryan.
What up, Madrillas? Hello. I am very glad we've finally done a Stephen King one.
Wait, is this our first Stephen King?
Yeah, I think it is.
No, Carrie.
Carrie?
Oh, we did
Carrie, yeah.
We did four.
Carrie.
I would say we did 4 of them. This is the
Carrie
fifth.
Carrie doesn't count. Well, it does, but no, you're right. I'm glad that I finally got my second Stephen King film in there. Then,
yeah. I mean, in fairness, the others are the same film 4 times.
And now I understand half the references in Simpsons and Family Guy and all that.
Oh gosh.
Reference Misery. I mean, they did a whole third of an episode parodying Misery.
Blooming heck. Well, it is impactful, as a certain scene will show. Also joined by that crime guy. How are you doing?
Good evening. What up, my shillers? Very much looking forward to this one, I have to say. Again, the audience choice, I have that 100% record intact. This was the one I wanted to look at.
You're the power behind the throne.
I am the power. The psychic. I'm like Uri Geller looking at the TV, you know, willing the audience on.
Ooh, a bender.
Yeah, basically.
Of any kind of utensil.
Exactly.
What a reference.
Many a spoon, many a fork. I'll even bend a spork if required.
Man of many talents. I'm so glad we have you aboard. But of course, we're also joined by first-time guest Dinah.
Hello. So that's also very exciting to me. I've also read the book probably over 10 years ago. So this is quite exciting to me as well, quite riveting.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I don't know about anyone else. I haven't actually read the book, so you might be the only one who's done that on this panel.
I can't read.
Yeah. Fair play.
I do have the book, but I've never read it.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Haryan Gláeddyv can't read.
I can't read. Well, I'm famous on my channel for not being able to read.
This is true. Yeah, you've made a living off of it, haven't you?
I know. Yeah. People give me money for reading lessons, and I never take them because then I stop getting that money for reading lessons. Think about it.
Market incentives, the things people pick up on this channel. Yeah. So, just for anyone listening, I thought since I was intrigued to get you on stream, Dinah, because I know you're usually just focused on political matters.
Unfortunately.
I know that. Why do you think I focus on horror films? You know.
honestly, I've been trying to move back into like literature or like other stuff like that, but God, politics is such a difficult subject to escape from.
It is. It is. I mean, even in this intro, we've gone into it a bit, but we got talking over Halloween season. I can't remember if you were actually asking for recommendations or if I just barged in because I saw you tweeting.
But that was welcomed. I think I then asked for more recommendations. So that was good.
Yeah, and it's happened a fair odd number of times. People have said they're sort of sorting out their Halloween viewing, and they'd like a recommendation. I always love that kind of discussion. And when I asked you what you'd seen, you really impressed me because you were going for sort of more psychological stuff. I think you mentioned Hereditary as well.
Yeah, Hereditary. There was another one. What was it? What other movies they mentioned? Oh, Suspiria, the old Suspiria. That was another one.
I thought this is eclectic stuff. This, this is going for sort of more complex horror, more challenging horror. I thought, okay, this is intriguing. And that's what got us talking, really. And I just thought, heck, it'll be great to get you on. So maybe we'll just spend a few minutes talking about the kind of horror that you happen to enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, as you yourself already said, I do mainly like psychological. So I do dabble in a few in some stuff that's like a bit more different to like the mainstream. So like we've chatted before as well. I do like Raw, for example. There's like this very strange French movie which just like makes you feel very unsettled throughout like the entire thing. So anything really that kind of causes more a psychological dread and kind of adds more to it, if that makes sense. Like I don't think I like some slashers, but they're entertaining. I don't watch things to be entertained, more so than to kind of find something that actually captures my attention, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I go with that. We're kind of talking. I was chatting with Waifu yesterday about slashes and the way they use jump scares and how it kind of releases attention, whereas other films, more psychological films, don't give you that, and you just kind of carry around this dread the whole film.
Yeah, I think that kind of the result of, or like the emotion that's associated with both of these movies is like completely different, because with the slashers you just get this quick fear. You get it, you jump, you get scared, and then you kind of get relieved, and that's all there is. And I think with and then you also have those times when like nothing happens in the movie and kind of like gather up your energy again. And then with the psychological, I feel like it's much more gripping, because from the very start you're unsettled. If it's done well, it starts literally at the beginning. It's like even with The Shining, like as soon as it starts, you're already like, that you're in for something special.
No, absolutely. Something I really noticed about all of the 1970s sci-fi horrors that we were watching was just how much more they kept you on the hook before they gave you any kind of tension release. Like you were Alien, I think, really kept you hanging around for a good while, like almost desperate to be able to jump.
Yeah,
and it's very patient.
Yeah, that's what you want specifically. Because I think, see, that's why I do like slow burners, because I think that you get more invested in them in a way. And then you get rewarded more for it. Like, have you seen Neon Demon?
Yeah, I found that quite striking. I was absolutely captivated by it and unsure I understood what the heck was going on.
It was amazing. Like, I know, like, I was so surprised because the reviews for that movie were atrocious. Like, it was, I think, like 5 out of 10 in general. And truly, that movie is absolutely mesmerizing. And like, just the the aesthetic of it, the soundtrack, like literally everything was just beautiful. And I think that kind of adds to the whole dread in a way. It's so different as well.
So if you liked Neon Demon, I'm gonna guess, did you like the Suspiria remake as well?
I haven't actually seen the remake. That might
Oh.
surprise you. I do intend to, because I do expect it to be quite nice looking as well. But I've only seen the old one.
Oh, I think you'll really go for it. It's got a very similar vibe to the Neon Demon in that it is visually incredibly striking. It does demand a lot of patience. It's got these great sort of big moments, and it's built around those. And it's mostly just really creeping you out and unafraid to just leave you kind of confused and uncertain for a whole lot of time. It's very bold as well.
No, that's amazing. Yeah, I have a feeling that I would really like it, because I do like stuff that's kind of neon demon-y, if that makes sense. Because I do think that, everyone thinks of horror mainly, like it has to be, gross, disgusting, there's a lot of blood and stuff. But there's also like a specific sense of dread and things that are really beautiful as well. I think these movies explore it very nicely.
Yeah. Oh, then I think that will be a winner for you. Like, I like my popcorn horror as well, when you just have sort of fun and it's excessive and you're not meant to take it too seriously. But
yeah,
occasionally you get these ones like Hereditary, like Midsummer. How many people just got annoyed then at the very mention of that film? Midsummer, the Suspiria remake, any of the oh, my brain's gone blank. David Lynch horrors.
Oh, my favorite Lynch.
Oh yeah, you were gonna love Suspiria. You were gonna absolutely love that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that kind of gives you a good overview of what I expect from horror for the most part. Because I can enjoy the ones that are, just slashers as well, just for the pure entertainment purpose. Like, I enjoyed The Nun, and that movie's terrible. It's literally terrible. I just had fun. I was just watching, like, I was watching it by myself in the dark. I was like, great, this is fantastic. I'm a little bit scared. And sometimes that's all you need. But yeah, my preference definitely lays in, the more difficult stuff.
Oh, good. It's I think they are sometimes hard to love, but I'm glad they are appreciated. We like to cover a breadth of style. We should probably, because there is a lot to say about Misery, we should probably, I mean, hey, look, it looks like you're not alone in liking The Nun. Chat, is The Nun a bit of a guilty pleasure? A lot of fans of Annabelle in there. I will give them kind of kudos. It's like, I don't actually like the Conjuring films. I can kind of recognize that they are very jump scare based, but they have kind of evolved the jump scare, and they're very much playing on your expectations a lot more.
Yeah,
I haven't actually seen The Nun, to be fair. I've seen Annabelle. I'm trying to think what other ones are there of them. Insidious, is that
I think that's separate.
Separate, isn't
yeah,
it?
that's separate. So you've got 3 Conjuring films. You've got,
oh yeah, The Conjuring. Yeah, sorry.
Guys, correct me. Is it 2 Annabelles or 3 Annabelles?
I want to say 2.
It's definitely 2. And then you've got The Nun, and I think Curse of La Llorona is also part of it.
Is that the latest one?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's anything involving those two mediums, because they're based on real. Yeah. They're based on real people.
They're indeed the Warrens. Oh, we're being told it's 2. It's 2 Annabelle films. Oh gosh. Well, there's a lot to get into, so we should probably start moving with the topic, which I think, as I say every time, will be quite a brief one. I mean, I'm not doing BBFC history, so we should get through this just absolutely fine. But before we do the topic, as this is on YouTube, there is some stuff that we have to do.
Yes.
Go on, TCG. I can't do it the way you can.
Right, okay. So take a typewriter and bludgeon the like button. Place the... Oh, you might want to get this one up. Place the subscribe button in between a slab of wood and hobble it to the point where you're subscribed. And share this stream with all of your #1 fans.
You get out that double-barreled shotgun and you shoot that favourite button right through the chest.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Send your friends to investigate this channel. Send them searching out for some lost horror channels that do a good job. And then when they get there, blast them through the back and store them in the basement. You know. Do you reckon that worked? Do you reckon Susan's happy with us now?
Smooth.
So darn smooth. So darn smooth. I am risking it this week, I know. We have to bear in mind. Which one is it? I think it's this one. Yes, Super Nanny will be watching us if we don't get past. We will be over by 10:30. I swear. I swear.
The cockadoodly stream.
Yeah. This is some dodgy shooping this week, guys. I know this is dodgy, but bear with me.
It doesn't matter how dodgy it is, it's always glorious, I have to say.
I'm glad you like it. I had so many choices with this one. Well, I'll get us moving because I was having a little think when I was watching this, because the DVD commentary on it is not amazing. It's one of those ones where you kind of have a long gaps between anyone saying anything. They're just kind of watching, they're just sort of refreshing their memory. There's a certain amount of, I think you get the impression that the writer and director hadn't actually seen the film in quite a while and had sort of been roped in a bit. And it got me thinking that I basically feel like DVD commentaries, as exciting as they were back in the day, they're kind of a missed opportunity. And I wanted to raise that and just discuss that. And first off, I thought I'd just throw it out there. Am I alone in thinking that there's a kind of a problem with DVD commentaries?
I'm just going to come out right out of the bat and say I've never actually watched a DVD commentary. As some of you know, I am from the age of videos, the old school blockbusters.
Yeah.
And so you didn't have that luxury at the time. And it was just something I never really explored. And sort of saying off stream prior, the only experience I've had with any sort of DVD commentary was from other people, like taking those parts and then like putting it into their own videos for like review purposes. So I've never actually done it. But one of the things that I kind of think about DVD commentaries, could you argue that maybe they were kind of like pre-podcast?
Oh, you've read my mind.
Because that's kind of how I view it. I mean, it's no different to sort of what we're doing now. Essentially, you know, we're sitting here going through a film and analysing it, but it just feels like that, you know, obviously they're doing it in real time and they have the luxury of being able to do it without having to sort of muddle around copyright issues because they have those full permissions. So, and I don't know. I mean, I never see, as I say, I've never seen a DVD commentary, so I don't know if they sort of pause throughout the film but I've always imagined they would be a bit hit and miss because they want to try and not. I just always found it was, if I was to watch one, I think I'd just get a bit jarred by it because my reason for buying a movie at the end of the day is to watch the movie. All the extra stuff, I've never watched extras, I've never watched DVD commentaries. It's just, I think that the furthest I'll go is into the audio and subtitles bit just to turn the subbies on because I'm a bit of I love watching films with subtitles on. That's as far as I'll go.
Weird.
No, it's
that's what serial killers do.
Is it? Funny, that, isn't
it?
How about you, Haryan? Do you go for them?
I can't think of ever putting a DVD on to listen to direct commentary, but I mentioned this before the show. I obviously watch a lot of film reviews and things like that, and even Sargon's Politics of videos. he'll reference DVD commentary. So saying Starship Troopers, that's when they say, "Oh, we're trying to say in this film that war makes fascist out of everyone." That's good to back up points, and it gives you a window into the mind of the director at the very least. So you can look at the film, you can see what they did, and you can see what they were going with, where they were going with it, but you can also see where directors have blind spots for things like that. So I think if you're really into films and you're really into your directors, I can see why you would watch it. And then obviously if you're trying to talk about why decisions were made in the film, DVD commentary can help with that. And as I said before as well, that's why The Last Jedi was a complete disaster, because it turns out Rian Johnson had no idea what he was doing.
Sometimes unintentionally very, very revealing. I mean, Zoe there has hit up on something that I think is quite interesting. Like, in a way, they feel a bit old school to me. I think almost because YouTube streamers have taken over and already do full commentaries. Like, you can already get, say, from Red Letter Media, just full commentaries that you can just play as you watch the film. I think Your Movie Sucks does it as well.
Well,
full commentary tracks.
EFAB do it nowadays, don't they? I mean, they'll watch. I mean, Harry, and you of all people will know that EFAB do it because you watch all their content. But they do it with things like TV shows and movies. And like I say, they have to sort of skirt around sort of copywriting. But the format is pretty much the same. And that's kind of why I think, it sounds more like podcasts than it does anything else, really. But I mean, obviously, like Harry said, you do get the insight into that the director's mind, or like the main actor as well. So you do, I suppose, there is that added benefit. But it does feel like it is a bit of an old school thing nowadays, especially nowadays where everything's available online and on streaming services. It's like a lost art, isn't it?
I think kind of. They feel like quite a time capsule to me, and I think streaming is part of it. Like, there's other factors I think are important, but the fact that you don't tend to buy physical copies of the films plays into it. I mean, Dinah, do you tend to? Do you think we're way off? Do you listen to commentaries when you've got them, or?
Not really. I think that So I sometimes need this kind of stuff for like research or something, whether it's for like university or something, an assessment or an article that I'm writing. But the problem is, as someone else said earlier, like no one ever buys them anymore, like DVDs. So I have like a few copies of an actual movies. So if I ever needed to, I would watch the commentary on it. The thing is, like, I think they could be a bit more useful. I know that some people definitely draw some important points from it, and they use the commentary to back up their points. If they themselves do movie reviews or something. But I think that most people just don't watch it in general. And again, as another person said, they have definitely been replaced by YouTube, because these days, if I need to do some research on a movie, I literally just go on YouTube. So I think it is a shame, because, we definitely should go back to it at some point.
Yeah, I would suggest possibly, I mean, that is sounding very familiar with my experience. If you don't mind, T-Bone, I haven't seen that commentary, but what you're highlighting strikes me as sort of the better end of them, because there are some. The good ones tend to be when someone has come up super prepared and they're giving you lots of stuff that you wouldn't ever know before. Whereas, let's see, if someone's really put thought into it, they can really show you a lot. And I'm thinking of some highlights that I've seen in my time. One of which is I'm afraid I'm forgetting it. I think it's Sean William Scott is on a commentary for just an action comedy film. And he says he's bored and wants to get beer, and he just goes off, and then 25 minutes later comes back with beer, and they just drink beer for the rest of the commentary, which is kind of epic.
That's brilliant.
Based.
I thought that was pretty darn cool.
I think I know what film you're talking about as well.
I'm scratching my head.
Yeah.
Right? You've got the ones. So another highlight for me was, I'm sorry, guys. There was there's a word that I don't want you to type in the chat. So restrain yourselves. Don't type the word.
They're definitely typing it now.
But there's an audio commentary for the anime Vampire Hunter D, where they obviously couldn't have the original Japanese staff doing the audio commentary, so they just got an anime nerd in to provide it, and he just nerds out on all the background and cultural reference points in the film, and he's coming super, super prepared for it. So I haven't seen anyone type it yet, so I think we're okay. And that was the kind of commentary I thought really added something. Or where in The Exorcist, the William Friedkin and the writer whose name I've forgotten, I'm afraid, they start talking about alternative ways they were going to make the film. I think, this is a good insight. But I think part of the problem is the people doing the commentaries for the film are often too close to it. But specifically, you know, the way that they talk on the commentary isn't the way that they talk about the film down the pub, off the record.
Yeah. You sort of touch on that. T-Bone in the chat says the problem with YouTube commentaries is that those commentating did not act or direct or produce the film, which is a valid point. Because but what you're doing is it's a different perspective, isn't it? You when you're watching these things on YouTube, you're getting essentially an audience member's perspective, which is a different angle. But that's a good point, though. When you're, if you've directed or produced the film, or if you starred in the film, and then you have to go in and then do a commentary on that film, how genuine are you going to be in that commentary? You know, I think if sort of some of the trivia I was looking up in preparation for this was Jack Nicholson, for example, was approached to play James Caan's character, and he rejected it because of his experiences on The Shining. Now, could you imagine if he was providing audio commentary on The Shining, and if he had a negative experience, would he express that in the audio commentary, or would he just sort of fluff it up just to make it sound good, just to keep you intrigued, to keep you interested in the product?
There's that. There are very few occasions, I gather, because I was doing some research, Ben Affleck's commentary for Armageddon is quite revealing. But he's Ben Affleck, so he doesn't have to care. So he was happy to spend the whole commentary talking about how stupid the movie is. But I was thinking of Blade Trinity. Oh yeah, Blade Trinity. Now, a few years ago, just some stories broke from interviews where Ryan Reynolds, who was not a super big guy at the time he was in Blade Trinity, started speaking out about Wesley Snipes being an absolute pain in the arse to work with. And I was thinking, like, this stuff, now that Ryan Reynolds is one of the biggest names around, it's fine. He can say it. He can absolutely spill the tea. This would have been an amazing commentary, but just a lot of the good stories you'd hear, we're talking about the fact that Snipes was spending all the time high in his trailer. There's a scene where they're just sort of in a car riffing. Ryan Reynolds is just cracking jokes and improvising. Blade is not reacting. And that's because Wesley Snipes is absolutely stoned out of his mind. A whole bunch of the time, they literally just got the stunt guy to do his stand-ins and be in the actual scenes because Snipes was high, or
Brilliant.
Offset because he'd come and threatened the director with a weapon.
I don't know who's more based in that story, Ryan Reynolds or Wesley Snipes.
Oh gosh, I'm seeing a reference here. I just Mima, what's NOTR? Help me out there.
Lord of the Rings. Get your
hang on
now.
Oh my god, we've just got in a historian's next advert. That's amazing.
Don't know
Oh,
what
dear.
an OTR. Well, unless you meant an L, but I don't know.
You're gonna have to help us out there. But yeah, a lot of the problem is that people need to keep their relationships, which means they keep it too sweet. And that got me thinking about one of the times there was some really innovative commentary. So, sorry, there was one I meant to mention earlier. Name of the Rose. There we go.
Name
Thank
of
you,
the Rose.
Mima.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ah.
I don't know it. But it was Joss Whedon did a proper unpacking of an episode of Firefly. It's the is it Lost in Space? It's called. It's one of the last ones in the series. But it got me thinking. It's a lot like what T-Bone said. He's writing and directing, so he is in the place to really unpack it, and he was brave enough to do it at that time. He had nothing to lose, so he could do it. But it got me thinking of the Matrix Ultimate Edition and something they tried to do on that. Now, the Wachowskis don't tend to do interviews for reasons that we now have a little more insight into. But they really didn't want to give any unpacking of the film. They wanted people to interpret it their own way. But their approach for this sort of mega, I think it's like a 10-disc box set of the 3 films, it's pretty epic. They're saying, look, if we're doing this, we've got to have some audio commentaries. So the Wachowskis had a plan. And I think it's a model that other films should really copy. Their plan was to have 4 commentaries. Two for movie critics and 2 for philosophers. And within those, it would be 1 in favor of the film and 1 against it. So they ultimately ended up only making 2 of these. They did movie critics who hated the film and philosophers who loved the film. I thought, oh man, that would be awesome. Wouldn't you like sort of an official commentary that's just kind of ripping into it? Not just saying how amazing the film is, but just like really tearing it apart. Or possibly not. Am I the only one who thought that was cool?
I've never seen Matrix, so I can't. I'm not too invested in it, unfortunately.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Wait, you've never seen The Matrix?
No, I've never seen The Matrix.
Oh,
It's
dear.
me, TCG. It's me. I've never seen anything.
Wow.
This is... Oh, my God. Haryan, we're going to have to talk about this. Talk about this.
Talk about
But-
what? I know it's bad.
I
It's on
don't know.
Netflix. I might watch it.
I thought that possibly provided a way to make the commentaries better, is to have literally have a whole bunch of people in who are happy to give a whole range of perspectives. And not necessarily all positive. Like, I really valued on the Lord of the Rings extended editions, you've got 4 commentaries. So
Yeah.
you kind of got a writer's perspective, a more funny cast perspective. You've got the production crew nerding out. Oh. It just seems to me like they've got to be one of the cheaper features to make and include on a movie, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. It's probably. I mean, I don't know if there must be channels dedicated to just putting the movie commentary, even if it's just audio, up onto YouTube, like official Warner Brothers or whatever. But they don't seem to have got that yet. They're just like, oh, put it on the Blu-ray, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
But I'd rather listen to it in the background than have to sit down and watch the film at the same time they're talking about it. It works better as a podcast type thing, I think.
Yeah, that's it. That's
Yeah.
kind of what's put me off the idea of watching live commentaries, because I would find it quite a jarring experience, because I'm trying to watch the film, and it would be like having a mate in the living room with you, just chatting away, like interrupting the experience. So I think I'm just I'm kind of with Haryan on that one. For me, it would be more of a background experience. This is why I think it's kind of like podcasts before podcasts were actually a thing. I feel like that's kind of like the idea that they were going with, and but it was obviously, you know, you didn't really have services like what we do now with things like Spotify and your whole YouTube experiences and stuff like that. You didn't really have that available. So what was the next best way of doing that? Stick it on a DVD.
Yeah. Room to be. I kind of feel like there's room for improvement, but possibly the time for it has passed, and now, we're doing our own commentary so much better.
Yeah, I mean, how would you feel about? I mean, if instead of like DVD commentaries, but how would you feel if it was like an evolution? So you go out, you buy a Blu-ray of, we're talking Matrix, so Matrix 4, for example, that comes out. But rather than it be a DVD commentary, you actually get like a podcast where they go through, kind of like what we're doing now. They sort of break it down scene by scene, but it's in a podcast format, but exclusive for the DVD or the Blu-ray.
Oh, I'd love that.
That see, for me, that would be preferable than actually just having the film on, and then, you know, you're about to get to a really decent bit in a film, let's say, and then the audio sort of quietens down, and then all of a sudden wonder why Wachowskis go, and here's where I decided that if we would direct this scene that way. I'm like, bro. Yeah, there you go. See, yeah, OG EFAP movies, yeah. It's just EFAP are just doing DVD commentaries nowadays.
No, I mean the last
with
EFAP,
extras, they have laughs and do all sorts of stuff.
I mean, the last EFAP was basically all about video games, like the new Halo. They were just, and the new Battlefield. They were just bitching about those two games for about 8 hours. Yeah.
I'm specifically just talking about when they do things like, you know, the old Batwoman stuff and those things. Yeah. Oh yeah. Because I appreciate they do other things as well outside that. But when they're doing things like the movie reviews and the television show reviews, it is essentially like watching a DVD commentary.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I kind of agree with that. With a DVD commentary, it's a bit different because the actual director's there and you get behind the scenes stuff, obviously. But with EFAP, it's just, here's what the scene is. Oh, we've heard these things have happened. Whereas obviously if it's from the horse's mouth, it's a bit different. But yeah, it's pretty similar though. And I'd rather listen to them because they're entertaining, unlike some directors.
Yeah, and again, sort of, you know, touching on it early from what we said earlier, you know, if you're, when you're trying to promote a film, you know, how honest are they going to be? Yes, there's going to be certain, like your Ben Afflecks, who or your Sean William Scotts, who just want to go bowl out halfway through to go and get some beer. But most of the time, I feel like it would be you're listening to almost like a shilling version of what would nowadays be considered a podcast.
Oh, you know what you just made me think of? We could be just like 20 years away from suddenly a whole explosion of commentaries from retired actors who don't care anymore.
Yeah. And they just... that's what they should do. They should... those retired actors, they should make YouTube channels and then give DVD commentaries of their own films that they hate. And also, I've just had a thought. You mentioned Sean William Scott bowling out for beer and sort of dipping out for about 25 minutes. Do you think that he was like the proto version of Hassan Piker?
Oh gosh, no, because he went and got his own beer. He didn't have his mum bring it to him.
His nuggies.
He didn't. Yeah.
Oh gosh. All right, guys, we should probably round it off here. But oh my goodness, I'm looking forward to the Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter Ultimate 50-year mega anniversary, where they just say, and now that they're dead, the following people were assholes. Oh.
The following actors are gay.
Gosh. Well, you know what? Before we, oh no. Okay, we should switch, guys. Sorry, I got too into the topic.
It's Super Nanny. It's Super Nanny looking at us with a block of wood and a sledgehammer.
Yes.
Oh no.
A little bit. Before we get into that, we did get a super chat here. Hey Po. Hey. Sorry about that. Yeah, we're sorry not to have you on stream. Alas, I understand that it's unfortunate, but you are always welcome back. And drop us your perspective in the chat if you can stick around. We'd love to hear from you. As you were, Poe was very keen that we do this movie, but then pretty much everyone who voted was keen that we do this movie. So we should quite, but it's converted you. It's won you over. You know,
I knew I was gonna like this. That was never a problem.
No, it is. So
Yeah.
thank you very much for the £5, Poe. Very much appreciated. And let's stop prodding Super Nanny and get into the film, get into Misery itself. Before we start doing any rundown of the film, we should probably go over some of the basics. We have an Academy Award-winning film. We have an adaptation of a Stephen King novel, which weirdly was not optioned in the great optioning craze. Like, this is 1990. It's being done after a lot of the big Stephen King hits have already happened. So obviously Carrie's come and gone, The Shining's come and gone. So this is relatively late to be hitting gold. And it's coming from a very unusual production team. Rob Reiner and William Goldman. This may be news to some people. What had they just worked on? That's all right. Princess Bride.
Princess Bride. Yeah. I didn't know that was Rob Reiner. I knew it was William Goldman though. Yeah.
Absolutely unexpected. Just
yeah. This is quite the different tone.
Yeah, you do one of the most beloved children's films of all time, and then you get going with this. My goodness. Mergut is correct. I see we've caused some confusion in the chat. Yeah, yes, it is indeed them. They did Princess Bride and they made this. I'm looking for my starter here amongst the billion screenshots I have. Oh gosh. Here we go. Yep. Now, Mergut has raised something very important. Yes, Rob Reiner has a bit of a way in here. He did Stand By Me as well. I'm just going to check the date on that because I'm not exactly sure when he did Stand By Me, which was an adaptation of a Stephen King novella by the name of The Body. It was 1986. Bit of a classic there.
As TCG has pointed out, he was also featured in a South Park episode, Rob Reiner, as an anti-smoking advocate who did nothing but eat fatty processed foods throughout the episode.
When I saw that name, I was like, I know that from South Park. I'm sure I do. And then
he may not have covered himself in glory since then, but come on, we kind of love him for this, right?
Yeah, he gets a pass.
Yes.
Name one person from Hollywood that isn't annoying. There you go.
Oof.
At least I didn't say he wasn't a nonce.
Well, not yet. You know, he's still got time. Oh, I shouldn't say that stuff. I wanted to ask before we really get into it, what was your experience with this film going in? Like, Dinah, if we can start with you, had you seen Misery before? You'd seen Misery before, yes?
Yeah. So I read the book first 10 years ago. So please don't ask me about anything related to the book because I do not remember. And then I watched them. So that was my absolute first experience. So I knew the story already. And then I watched the movie for the first time like 3 years ago. So this is obviously like rewatching it. But I remember because I've got such a skewed understanding of the movie, because obviously I read the book first. Obviously I wanted to make sure that it kind of measures up to the book itself, which it did fairly. But it's sorry, book was better. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's going
The
to piss
book was
me off there.
better. Interesting.
In my opinion, yeah.
It's
Interesting.
okay to be wrong.
No, it's. I'll be surprised because one of the I think one of the ongoing how can I say trends you get is that often directors will, I think, improve on a Stephen King book, generally in the ending area. But I'll be interested to hear why you have the preference for the book when we get to relevant bits, because I know they have made a couple of significant changes in the course of adapting this film. How about you, Haryan? You were
Yeah, so as I said before, there's a lot of it's like a lot of films you show me that the audience really wants. I already know the story and I already know the famous bits from it, because it's impossible not to know it thanks to pop culture and Family Guy and The Simpsons and all that. But this is one of the films that Family Guy actually did kind of a 10-minute kind of whole parody on in one of their episodes, where they were doing Stephen King novels. So yeah, I kind of knew Misery, or the main plot of Misery, from almost start to finish, thanks to that Family Guy episode. And I actually watched it again straight after the film, and I'm like, oh, they actually miss out quite a lot of good bits as well. But they were trying to fit it into like 7 minutes. So I went in basically knowing the story and being like, well, let's see how well it really is. Let's see if it's earned its place at top of the horror hierarchy.
Oh gosh. But
yeah.
you were aware of it in the memosphere.
Yeah.
So, and you knew from the start that, say, Family Guy were parodying Misery. So
yeah. Well, yeah,
okay.
They're like, oh, here's Misery, and then it's just the whole of Misery with less pigs. Yeah.
They cut out the best part of the film.
Yeah, no pig. No Misery the pig. Misery the pig.
Shocking. And how about you, that crime guy?
So I haven't read the book, and when I watched this film donkey's years ago, so I hadn't. So when I came into this in preparation for the stream, I kind of watched it with almost like a fresh set of eyes. I mean, it was quite obvious. One of the scenes in particular that I'm sure we'll get to stuck with me from the first time I watched it, and yeah, still just as wince-inducing as when I watched it again. And yeah, I do like the Stephen King films. I've only ever read one of the books, which, as you probably know, is Pet Sematary. But yeah, I'd be intrigued to read the book just to get a comparison as to what was different in the film. But I'm sure we'll go through that as the 3-minute review goes on.
Yeah, we can do this, guys. We can do this. Interestingly enough, I find that it's a relatively simple film in many ways. Like there weren't many sort of key details that I wanted to pick up on. Like they were very rare to me when I thought there was like a moment of say like deep symbolism or deep framing. So like I've picked up on this where you just have behind him this kind of creepy painting in the background. But I almost feel like that's random, to be honest. Like it doesn't seem to connect to his story all that much.
No. Not unless it does. It doesn't connect to any of his other stories. Because I know that in some of the other films that have been produced, they've had like it references in there. For example, like what was it in the latest? Was it in the latest ones? The remakes they did. He had like a little Lego turtle, which I think was in reference to the book, because the ending of the book is vastly different to the movies of the originals, because it involves like some sort of giant love turtle or something like that. I don't know.
The meta on it is not something we can get into. But
no.
Yeah, you're right. This is this is a really interesting Stephen King film for being so incredibly self-contained. It is really not, in this one, it's not really connected to the wider Stephen King metaverse. I mean, The Alabaster, Randall Flagg, I don't think has any presence in this. It's just, it's played very straight, very non-supernatural, and with a certain, well, actually, I say a certain amount, a heck of a lot of really dark comedy in it, which I think is helpful for luring you in. I was laughing at this a lot laughing with it, I should say, a heck of a lot of the time. But it's a wonderfully self-contained story from here. But shall we just get into the details, Harry? Shall we kick it off, our 3-minute story?
Yes, exactly. I was also going to add to that. I don't see how they'd reference anything else in this film, because the whole film basically happens in a small town in the middle of nowhere in Colorado. So,
well, I could give you an example.
Okay.
There's a parallel with this, which would be Gerald's Game. Now, that's another Stephen King story where you have a character who spends almost the entire plot stuck in bed, restrained there. But that one manages to reach out into the wider Stephen King verse, because the character has these bizarre dreams, because Gerald's Game was originally meant to be part of a duology, a double story connected to Chat and anyone on panel, correct me if I'm wrong, Dolores Claiborne, which also starred Kathy Bates and is very underrated. Yeah, so it was meant to be themed around these two women and the sort of horrors they suffer, but they were sort of connected by visions of each other and an eclipse. But they ended up not doing that, and it makes me sad, because I would love to see a combined story of those two, as originally planned, alas.
Oh, there you go. I didn't know that, because I don't watch Stephen King that often.
Some Stephen King deep lore for people. So shall we get into it?
Yes, let's speed run this one. So
do it.
We're introduced to our character at the typewriter, Paul Sheldon, who has just finished even an untitled novel and celebrates with a glass of champagne and a cigarette. And then straight after he's drunk, he decides he's going to go for a ride in his car to presumably go home, but it's in the middle of a blizzard, and he's drunk as well, and his car slips all over the place, and as you can see, his car crashes. And then you get a little flashback scene about his little satchel that he keeps his manuscripts in, and then it's just explained he's going off to the middle of nowhere of Colorado to finish his book. That's what the flashback was for. We then see his car being opened by crowbar, taking quite a while, and it is then
brilliant.
I'm doing pretty well. We're already 7 minutes in the film. The car doors open and he's rescued by an unknown assailant, and he comes to while she's saying like, "Oh, I'm your number one fan. I've been following you or something. You'll be better soon."
Can I just stop for a moment just to appreciate the upper body strength of Kathy Bates's character in that scene when she rescues him.
Well, yeah, I'm not being funny, but Kathy Bates does look like she used to be a man.
Yeah.
I love this feature because it's quite subtle that they get in there. Like, he's not a small guy, but
no,
she is massive, and you've got it just established from the start. She's handy, and she can absolutely haul him around. It's like subtly getting the dominance in there from the very start.
Yeah. And she lives on a small farm. Yeah, and is an ex-nurse. I mean, this sort of stuff I liked because he comes to and she's there looking after him, and explains your leg's broke in the crash. Here are your painkillers and all that. Please take them because you're in pain. She explains, there was a blizzard, roads are closed, phone lines are down. You know, I'm gonna have to look after you for the time being. And she explains, yeah, I know who you are. I'm your biggest fan. I like your misery books. All kind of normal, but there's a bit of an undertone of almost creepiness. Like, why is she so well prepared for someone with broken legs?
Well,
she is a nurse, I know.
Mm.
But how many nurses have all these painkillers in there, stocked
All
up
right,
in the home and things like that?
So
It's
there are two
mind-eating.
things. There are two things
Yeah.
I'd like us to discuss at this point, because
Yeah.
it's come up in the chat already, and I thought I'd like to get your thoughts on it. One, do you think she set him up?
I don't.
No.
I possibly. I mean, it's in this scene. I think that she pretty much spills the beans as to how much she's a massive fan of his, like to the
Yeah.
point where, you know, she'd sit outside the cabin area, the cabin where he was writing, and she'd just watch him from his room. So it's not too much of a stretch of the imagination to suspect that she might have had something to do with his crash. But then again, it was a blizzard. He wasn't aware that it was going to happen because, you know, he sort of locked himself away, so he wasn't aware of any potential like danger events.
I don't think
know.
much had to be done to prepare a crash. He was drunk and driving in a blizzard.
And it's already established that she knows when he's going to be there. She knows when he's ready to leave. So, you know, she's already stalking him in that regard. So it's not too much of a stretch of the imagination to think, oh, he's had a bit of a slip. I'm going to go and grab him now with my superhuman, muscly Soviet female athlete arms.
Well, one of the things that I love about this is oh man, I picked up on some subtle points, some really character stuff that I'd never noticed before. Annie Wilkes, for all the sort of hick stuff that is obviously played up, she is deviously intelligent frequently. And there was a detail in the scrapbook that Paul finds where it mentions that her husband dies in a crash in the snow. And I'm just wondering, you know, is it a parallel that because of the crash in the snow, she's really already thinking of Paul like a new husband? Or did she off her previous husband the same way? I don't know. Like, do you think that's a massive reach?
I mean, if she offed her husband in the way that Paul Sheldon crashed, it kind of goes against the point of her, you know, getting into the position that she's in with him now. She, you know, she doesn't want the misery books to end, as you find out when she gets hold of the final draft that he's written up. I don't think her intentions were initially to kill him, but I don't know. I think again, without getting too far ahead, that kind of changes as the film goes on. I don't think her intention was to kill him. I think she was too obsessed with him in that regard.
Okay, fair play.
Yeah, I think she came around to wanting to kill him.
Yeah, I think she just sort of accepted that. Yeah, this isn't going to last, and we're going to have to do something.
But we've already got a really interesting thing in that there's a parallel of, you know, we find out how obsessed she is with him, but then you've got this kind of reverse that he's actually dependent on her. And this is symbolically going to be really important. But maybe let's get a little further in before we do the symbolism of Paul and the meta stuff.
The themes, yes.
Or you think I'm not going to mention the themes?
Oh no, I think you're gonna mention the themes. I know you're gonna mention the themes. It's all right in this film though, because it's not terrible. So yeah, we're then because obviously Paul's missing and he's been sedated by no, he has been sedated by what's she called, Annie. Yeah, that then starts to be phone calls to Silver Creek, specifically to the sheriff, and this is the thing we could just skip over. Just the agent's worried because he's not called his daughter, and they've not heard from him for a while.
Well, I would like to throw something up
Yeah.
quickly. Not to delay the formula thing, but okay, we get this established after the first bit of coziness. We get the we just get thrown a little bit of scenario construction just to make sure we understand it. Okay, so why can't he just get up? Well, they make darn sure we see why he can't just get up, and they show us this,
and it's in in gruesome detail. She's like, I can, you've got compound fractures. I could hear the bones moving, so don't move.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, grim.
Yeah, I found this so effective. Dinah, how did this work for you when she pulls back the duvet and shows you the legs after we've not seen it for a while?
See, she was so lovely. Like, she put his legs back together. We need to appreciate the gesture. See, it's funny because obviously she did that, because she wanted to, because she loves him so much. She probably thought she was doing him a favor, which is quite funny. So yeah, it was quite the legs look absolutely mangled. It's fantastic. It's quite a sight.
Yeah, I had a very I still get a big response to it, and so much of the film, their sort of reactions and emotions it tries to get are dependent on you knowing how much his legs hurt.
Yeah.
So they established this so effectively for me here. I wince every time when I watch this film. It's got to be on the 8th viewing or something, and it still works for me because of how much they establish how sensitive his legs are.
Well, yeah, they don't really look like legs.
No, it's impressively mangled. It also works, I think, because as Dinah said, she's so lovely and she's so wholesome, and then just to flip the duvet and then be like, oh, by the way, your legs are baloney. It's it's such a contrast.
You want to see some shit pulls back duvet. Yeah. The pain he's in is constantly established, and I mean you can just see physically as well throughout.
I see it's working for people. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So, and then after this, obviously we've got the sheriff thing, and he says, we'll look for Paul, we'll look for a missing man through our system. And it's like she says, oh, last Tuesday is when he said he should be finishing, and then he says, oh, he asks his wife, I think, oh, when was the blizzard? She's like, last Tuesday. So then he starts piecing the story together, and I quite like the bit. They're quite simple. They don't, the main point of the film is obviously Annie and Paul, but you need this B plot for the mystery, find him.
I like that it doesn't get in the way too much, but I also have to say, okay, did you guys recognize this wonderful agent here?
No.
Oh my gosh, guys. Okay, I might be dating myself here. That is Lauren Bacall, as in
Lauren Bacall.
Okay, so she is an older actress.
As you can see,
she married Humphrey Bogart. I'm just trying to look her up in I think it's The Have and Have Not, which was 1994. And I'm going to 1944. Thank you so much. Right, I'm going to get you. Oh, I've got to show you this, guys, because this makes me so happy. Right.
Can I just say, I don't know if this was, sorry, I had to dip out for a couple of minutes, but that whole B plot, like Haryan said about the sheriff doing the investigative work, did anybody get Psycho vibes from that? The reason why I mention it is because Rob Reiner in preparation as he was making the film, took a lot of inspiration from Hitchcock. And when I was watching those particular scenes involving the sheriff, I got Psycho vibes from it, especially the final scene that you see the sheriff in.
Yes.
Felt very, very Psycho-esque.
Yeah, so that is very relevant to Martin Balsam's Detective Arbogast. And yes, you can see in both of those, they're relevant. You'd expect them, but they also don't stop your protagonist being the driver of the plot. So yeah, I can see the inspiration there. Oh, chat, you are impressing me. I'm proud of you, chat. Yes. Good Lauren Bacall love. So this is one of her last roles, I believe. And in an interesting parallel I brought up before, this is obviously 1990. In 1994, John Carpenter does In the Mouth of Madness. And he also gets an absolute A-grade, sort of high-status actor, Charlton Heston, to come in and be a literary agent as well. And both of them only have about 2 scenes. But it's just, I think it's so cool, and I absolutely love seeing Lauren Bacall here. If you've watched her in her 1940s and 50s movies, she's amazing. I would particularly recommend To Have and Have Not. She does some singing in there. She's actually only 19 in that, but she has so much screen presence. She's absolutely incredible.
I have literally no idea who she is. I've never seen any of these films. You've not seen The
Matrix, so...
Yeah. She was in Matrix?
No.
She's not in any Destiny's Child albums either.
I'm just saying we have something of a, I tend to watch some older films. Brucey, I've not actually seen The Big Sleep. If she's in that, I have not seen it, but yeah, she is just so wonderful, and it made me really happy to see her in Misery. It's one of these random castings that they could have basically had anyone, but they got Lauren Bacall. But yes, her main thing is to connect to our wonderful sheriff played by Richard Farnsworth, who I think you really enjoyed, didn't you?
Yes, he was one of my favourite characters. Well, probably my favourite character. Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Very fun. Very, very, very homely vibes from him throughout the film. It was great.
I love it when she's like, "Oh, he's out at the moment. He's probably out having an affair or something," and he comes in and he's like, "I'm flattered that you think I'd have the energy for that." I'm just like, I love it.
Yeah.
Yes. It's such a. I really feel like that's a strong Rob Reiner touch to bring this like slightly saucy pensioners in.
Yeah, isn't there one scene when they're like, driving along and like she sort of grabs his leg and is like, "I told you when you're in this car, you're not my wife." Yeah. Just the chemistry between them two is brilliant.
It's a very welcome like relief from the heavy stuff happening in the Wilkes farm.
Yeah.
But it's also nice to be out of Paul's room, because you're in that for a lot of the film. It's good variety.
Definitely.
But,
absolutely.
So yeah, he starts investigating, and then back at the Wilkes Ranch, how are things going?
Well, it's the bit before this that actually made me tense at first, because she's shaving him with a cutthroat razor. He's kind of wondering, how the hell did you even find me? And she just admits, "Oh, I stalk you."
Yeah. Yeah, she starts passing it out, doesn't she, a little bit?
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, I'm your number one fan, so I, just go up to the lodge and look at it from afar." And I'm like, if that was me, I'd be like, "I'd like to call the police now."
But Haryan, the phones are out. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I love that detail why they brought it in, and there's some little pauses when she's got the knife to his throat that you just get a little tense, just a tiny bit.
There's one bit as well when he just sort of moves as she's scraping up. He moves his like head down, and you think, oh, don't get nipped there.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I want you to remember the. Actually, you know what? I think I'll just go to it anyway because I have a theory. Okay, I'll get it out now before I before I forget about it. Right. This is quite late in the film, but she gives him an electric razor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I think this is after she's made him burn his book. Yes. She's made him burn the book that she's unhappy with. And she's now flipped, and she's gone back to being super lovey and nice with him, right?
Yeah.
She offers him the electric razor. Now, I think this is one of those things where it's part of the really subtle cat and mouse game. Like, she's being nice to him, but she's got a razor that he could use. He could use that razor one-handed, but she gives him an electric one because she's not wanting to give him a bladed weapon.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Yeah.
No, I think this is spot on.
It's I was told that might be a reach because he might struggle with the. I mean, what do you guys reckon?
No, I think that's a valid point because the thing about Annie Wilkes' character is she is incredibly smart, and you know she is almost like one step ahead throughout the majority of the film, and I think that's just one subtle instance there where she's sort of gone, because I mean she just has to be caught off guard and he can take it because it's his legs that are screwed, not his arm's not in a good state, his right arm, but you know his left arm's pretty good. It just takes one quick swift motion and it's game over. But she even mentions in the film as well. It's just like, you know, I bet, you know, if I die, you die. When you know, so again, the danger, the danger and the threat is there.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll clarify that later in the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, we keep skipping hours.
I know.
But it is all relevant, so I don't mind. So Anya, when she finishes shaving him, she says, you know, can I ask you a favor? You've got your manuscript in your bag over there. I saw, you know, do you mind if I read it? And he basically, you know, he says, well, you saved my life, so yeah, go for it. Then it's another scene with the sheriff just checking out the lodge, and the lodge manager's just like, yeah, nothing unusual about the night. And he goes on. Nothing much to say there. And then we get, the soup scene.
Yes. Important.
Where she starts to have a few issues with the book, and she's like, oh, I have a few issues, and he says, well, what is it? And she's like, no, it's stupid, I'm just a nobody, you don't need my criticism. He's like, no, I appreciate it, what's wrong with it? And her issue is that there's profanity in it. You know, that they say the F word, they say the B words, and she's like, it's not good, it's bad, it's not like your other writings. And he says, well, there's slum kids in it, and that's how slum kids work. Talk. I know because I was a slum kid. And she's just like, no, she's just a total denial, just saying, no, they don't, because I feel they don't, basically. With, you know, argument I don't like, but it doesn't really matter. She, you know, basically everything she says goes in this situation.
She's epic and moral. I mean, we haven't even talked. Look how morally she's dressed. I love it.
Is she really the bad guy in this film?
She's got moral standards she's enforcing. Like, he's trying to publish some smut, you know. I'm just saying.
She'd be against your gay readings in this film.
Mary. All I'm saying is Mary Whitehouse would be proud.
Yeah. And she's saying like, oh, I don't go to the bank and say, here's one big bastard of a check, and she's getting more and more pissed off. And she spills the soup, and then she says, which I found interesting at this point, see what you made me do.
Yes.
It's that whole kind of mothering thing, isn't it? It's like, you know, everyone will have had this where you do something naughty and your mum does something stupid, and it's like, look what you made me do.
Can we just take a moment, because obviously just she's criticising the book for the profanity. I want you guys to remember this, especially those in the chat, because again later on in the film, I know I'm jumping ahead again, but it's a blink and you miss it. but it's important, and hopefully, if we
Okay.
get to that point, we'll get to that point.
We'll try and bear in mind, but yeah, we're getting interesting stuff. We're getting the gaslighting. We get it. It's one of those moments where I think the film, how can I say, you need to be on board with it, right? Like, the film could lose you when she flips out. And I know a bunch of people have said when they're excited that they basically view this almost as a comedy.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't get that vibe. But even with the sheriff, I didn't feel like they were comic relief. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong.
Some of the scenes were.
Some of the scenes were funny, but I don't think it was. Intentional in that regard. I think they were just. I think they were there just to sort of lighten the atmosphere in between the scenes.
Oh, totally. Totally.
But not in a sense of like that it throws you. That again, it's not jarring you to the point where you're like one minute you're watching like this really bad, like horrific suspense bit, and then it's just like, oh, lighthearted, ha ha ha, funny. It doesn't. It's not enough to throw you out in that regard.
Yeah, Annie does some strange things, and she is rather out of touch, and she has rather extreme reactions. But I think the film does have to try and keep you grounded in the fact that her extreme reactions are a building threat. I mean, this is something we're going to see. She's going to have multiple episodes, and the danger is going to increase each time. Like, it's going to... The threat to Paul is going to go close. Like, it's a while until she actually hurts him.
Yeah, well, this the thin end of the wedge, isn't it? I mean, this is how much she freaks out just because there's effing and blinding in the book, which isn't really something you should lose your mind over. But yeah, she's mental, so she does. And then straight after this, she's like, sorry, and he says it's fine. And then she says, I love you, Paul. And Paul's like, oh, left on red.
Oh, gosh.
She's like, no, I just meant your mind, your creativity. And I'm like, yeah, good save, Annie. And then she's like, just leaves the room because I think a bit embarrassed with herself. Just obviously he wants to be alone. And he's just like,
love that outfit, though.
Yes, very modest. It's
Goals.
Pretty,
Goals, totally.
Yeah. She looked like what I'd expect someone who lives on a farm to wear. So yeah, it's another sheriff and his wife scene next. They're just driving down the road from the lodge, and she gets a bit bored, and so I mean, the parts I found funny. She starts like touching his thigh, trying to have a bit of fun, and he's like, "No, you're my deputy when we're driving, not my husband." And then she's like, "Oh, fine." And then he sees a tree that's broken down, snapped, and has a look at it. He's like, "That could be something. Let's take a look." But obviously, everything's just covered in snow, so we can't get down the hill really, and doesn't see the buried car. It's not fully buried, and they do a bit of camera work to show you the car is there, and they nearly got it, but they haven't yet. And then as they're walking back, I really like the shot here actually, where they're walking back to the car, and it's kind of first person from a car, and then as it turns around, it does the whole 180 and shows you Annie.
Oh, I'm so glad you liked that. Yeah,
I did like that shot.
I picked up on that as well. They've got a camera mounted on the car hood, and slightly off the car hood on an extended crane, and then they just turn it round and it's a lovely way of sort of just transferring your focus. You were with the sheriff, but your attention's going to go back to Annie as well. It's moving the audience along.
Well, yeah, it was kind of saying as well that he's hidden right under their noses, basically.
Oh, absolutely.
Which I liked as well. So there you go, good cinematography.
Do you think she was sort of actively trying to patrol the area and watch out?
No, I think she was just going to town.
Yeah, I think she was just going to town as well.
Okay, that's cool. I figured it might be a reach. I just kind of wondered, but she's definitely taken note of it. She's definitely noticing that they're on the lookout.
Well, again, I think, going back to her character, she's incredibly intelligent. So knowing that, I mean, the universe is set up that Paul Sheldon is this world, this world famous author. He's well renowned. So the fact that for him, a person of such high profile, to go missing, it's not going to go unnoticed. She knows that. So yeah, she knows these things. She wouldn't be completely unaware or ignorant to that.
No.
It does move us on to something that I think is so very well done here. I really like it. The film's basically set up conflict and tension really well. It's forewarned us what issue we're going to have. So we know from the meeting with the agent that Paul has already published a book where he's killed off misery. And, this is a while ago, but we remember it. And we know Annie's absolutely obsessed. We've just seen her flip out over swearing in an unrelated novel.
Yeah.
So we're kind of primed here that actually we're already aware that there's some danger, right?
Yeah.
She's come back with Misery's child there. And I think from like her excited expression how she's feeling, but I think he's already a bit apprehensive.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, obviously he knows what happens in the book.
Yeah.
He wrote it.
I was,
it's like, how's she going to react? God knows. Yeah.
Yeah, when she was spurging out over the swearing, my instant thought was, oh Christ, how's she going to feel when Misery dies?
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, good. Dinah, when you're watching this bit and Annie's, were you aware of this bit and focusing on that, thinking of the sort of basically aware of what's the phrase? Chekhov's rifle. Basically, it's a sort of
Chekhov's gun.
Damocles. Yeah,
Chekhov's gun.
Scene, so then it has to reappear later.
Yeah, like it's this landmine in the path that you kind of, this bomb you're waiting to go off, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I can say that it was quite visible, I guess. I don't know.
That's okay. How would you say you're feeling about Annie at this point in the film? Like, how is she working for you as a character, or just how is the film doing it at the moment in general?
She gets progressively more and more terrifying, I guess, especially at this point. Like, you kind of like get it entirely, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're
Definitely.
seeing flashes of it. You're definitely seeing the flashes.
It's almost interchangeable between scenes, isn't it? Like, one scene she'll be absolutely peachy, and then the next minute it just completely turns on a dime, and then she's really hacked off. And then in other scenes, you'll get both sides of her straight away in that same scene. So she's very unpredictable in that sense.
Oh yes. I mean, it's such a difficult role because I think people are picking up on this. Yeah, she's got a lot of this sort of hokiness, and it is very exaggerated. But darn, she is darn intelligent under there.
I'm going to say it now. To Zoe's question, I didn't think for one second that she was planning to let him go at any point.
No.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what she intended. Is it they should go out together? They should both sort of end it together. But yeah, I don't see her letting him go. I don't think that was ever going to happen.
And Alexa actually as well in the chat, it's very much like domestic violence. That's something that sort of struck with me when watching this film, is that build up. It's almost like telling a story of a domestic of domestic violence in, like, you hear these abusive relationships about how it starts off small but gradually builds up to the point where it becomes something too extreme. The film does that brilliantly in conveying that build up, but over a short over the span of what? How long is this film? 90 minutes, 2 hours?
Oh, it's only like 100 minutes of story.
Yeah, but it does that brilliantly in conveying that escalation in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, and then I'm saying tone wise, it has to do these big switches, which I think also keeps it interesting. It's not just escalation; it's escalation in multiple directions. So, like, the chirpiness goes up. Like this next scene that I've got for us. Okay, I did. I absolutely love this. I had to get a screen cap of it. It makes me very happy. Best bit in the movie.
Misery the pig.
Like.
I'll say Misery the pig. Credit in the credits. It's credited as herself. So it's the pig, unless that's like a joke with the production team. But we're led to believe that this pig is actually called Misery the pig.
Oh yes, Misery the pig as herself.
Yeah,
I love that. But it makes me so happy. It's so sort of out there.
Here, Harry, do you think Misery would look like would make a good bacon sandwich?
Excellent bacon sandwich. Yeah. I think she'll be the tastiest pig in the herd.
Absolutely.
With a side of chicken.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. They're throwing this out there. I feel it's a mood lightener. Which is so weird because you still have the knowledge of the threat that I think is building.
Yeah, I think there's a dark reason she has a pig, which I'll go through later when we get to the scrapbook.
Oh, you maybe have the same idea that I did, but okay.
Okay.
Are you thinking Snatch by any chance?
I'm thinking Snatch.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Damn, I thought it was being original.
Well, I think there are indications from the way it was written.
Yeah.
But
we'll go through that. Cause we're jumping all. We're already at the pig bit, and it's a whole 10 minutes to all that. No, there aren't, but still. Because I mean, we talked about Annie a lot, but Paul's Paul's worried about is about his daughter and letting people know he's okay, and she's just ignoring it. Because obviously she brings in the book first, and so she can't wait to read it and all that. You're a great writer and everything, and while she's saying all this, he's just there like, oh, my daughter's going to be going crazy. Can you call them and things like that? And she said, oh, I called your agent, it's all fine. She'll call your daughter. Phone line's down here, but you'll probably be able to talk to her when the roads are cleared.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's kept the pretense up, hasn't she? Did she have to do the deflection about, the road to town?
Yeah, road to town's fine. Road to hospital isn't. Yeah.
Yeah, so she had a bit of a slip that he caught her on when she's saying the roads are closed, and then she has the quick cover of, the road to the store is fine, but not the road to town, and she quickly changes it. But it's a nice detail. Yeah,
and she basically walks straight out of the room after that as well. After like compliments, she just keeps putting the charm on basically. And then next scene, she gives him the meal, doesn't he? With not much is said there apart from she's getting through the book, and it's another bit where he's like, do you like it? And he says, do you think it's good? And she says no, and then he looks a bit worried. And then she's trying to find words, and basically it's like, oh, it's great if that's good enough. And then he meets the pig, all that.
It is. Sorry. Just looking at
the capita.
Just sitting there, just shaking the bottle around her. She's like praising him, and he's just sort of looking at the bottle like, "Oh my god, don't spill."
Well, yeah, I mean, she's turning the charm on again in this scene, like while he's doing his business. And she's like, she's talking about like her ex or something at this point. She gets really deep anyway. Just trying to get through the scene. Because she talks about a chapter and she's reading it over and over, and it just reminds her of her husband who left her or something like that. And he's just like, "Yep, done. Take it."
Yeah.
And then she starts saying, "Oh, I'm not against marriage, but it would take a special guy to marry me." And it's obvious to everyone that she means it's him.
Yeah.
And he's just like, "Well, it's not something that you should enter lightly." Trying to get her out, basically.
Yeah.
I love her just sloshing it around, though.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah. Grim.
Who reckons that after she left the room, she drank it?
No.
She obviously sold it on eBay.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's got her own Twitch channel,
dear.
you see.
Yeah.
Or Author Man Bottle P.
Absolutely.
So then we get to the next scene. Well, he, Paul's asleep. Nothing can go wrong now. What could possibly go wrong? She's enjoying the book. But she calls him a dirty birdie. Dirty birdie.
I've got this sort of high action frame, but she starts off like we get a lot of really intense close-ups of her face.
I love that.
A heck of a lot.
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, she can't be dead." And Paul's just like, "What do you mean? She was a woman in the 1800s. They died in childbirth all the time."
Yeah.
But a spirit's the important thing, and that's still alive as long as you keep reading it. And then she's like, "I don't want a spirit, I want her." And she's moving the bed about, which is putting him in pain. Yeah.
Yeah. This is also interesting. It's the first time I think that he tries to placate Annie, and it just doesn't work. Like there's another important bit coming on when she gives him the printer and the paper, and he tries to talk her, and it just doesn't work. And he realizes, oh, I can't sweet talk her. But this is close up, directed with so much confidence to go really close in on the face.
Yeah.
And again, even in that scene, she moves between quite still to really explosive, and you really get the feeling that she could wallop the heck out of him.
Yeah. And and after she's slapped what even is it? It's like a vase holder. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just like a plant stand, but he's really reacting as if because I was either going to go for this shot or I was going to go for him sort of cowering. Like he really thought that she was going to hit him.
That's right.
But she smashes it above the bed frame, which again we kind of talked about. This is a big escalation. This is a massive escalation in force. It's closer to home. So she's closer.
I mean, she just goes off on one, and then she says, "Well, I better not be around you for a while because you're not a good person. You're a liar." And then as she goes out, she's like, "Well, you better not expect anyone to come for you because I've not told anyone you're here."
That's right.
And if I die, you die. So. And I think in the book, it wasn't made clear to me in the film, but in the book, I think she goes away for 2 or 3 days.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So he's in pain, going hungry, can't do anything for 3 days. So,
wow.
Because that's the bottle.
What? That's the thing. That's the thing about this film. From the start to the finish, it's an unspecified amount of time that passes. You don't really. And I wonder if that was intentional. Yeah, but I wonder if it's intentional by the directors because obviously, where Paul Sheldon's isolated for so long and he doesn't really have that connection to the outside world, does he really know how long he's been essentially in captivity for?
Oh yeah.
So I wonder if that's something that's then projected onto the audience, us, because we don't know how long he's been there. And he really wouldn't have known himself. Yeah,
it's its own little microcosm, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, shall we at this moment maybe talk a little bit about the wider thing that's going on here, which is the kind of meta of this film.
Okay.
So to introduce that idea, because I'd really like your thoughts on it, Dinah. it's the idea of Paul Sheldon is an author, which is kind of a standard Stephen King thing, but this is very much, in a way, a self-insert. This is kind of Stephen King talking about how he, as an author, feels a bit trapped by his audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
There's a thing of he's dependent on them in a way, but he kind of views himself above them, but he is also dependent on them, and they can be so sort of aggressive in response to him. And he said this is so I was checking what in particular kicked this book off, and it was a book he wrote. Oh gosh, I should remember now. It's either Eye of the Dragon or The Regulators, but that was him moving from from horror into fantasy.
Okay.
And he had already tried, I think, like breaking out of the Stephen King mold by writing books under a pseudonym. You know, writing as Richard Bachman, and you know he wanted, because I think he was already sort of feeling trapped by the Stephen King name. Like he writes as Richard Bachman to think, do people actually like my writing, or do they just like marketing?
Well, it's funny you mentioned the Bachman name. One of the things that I found, again, while I was sort of looking for little trivia bits, he actually planned to release that. He originally planned to release this novel, Misery, under that pseudonym. But it was during that time that people actually found out that the Richard Bachman was his pseudonym, and so he ended up publishing the book in his real name and announced that Bachman had died from cancer of the pseudonym.
Nicely done. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, he'd got Eye of the Dragon out. It had been savaged by fans, and I think it's just him feeling, you know, he wasn't writing a long-running historical romantic serial with the same character under the name of Misery, but you know, he was on the hook to keep writing horror. And the way that he talks about being in the misery business and being expected to keep the misery coming, it's like, it's very much, okay, he has to keep bringing horror and keep going back to the well over and over again. And this film is very much just the metaphor of how he's effectively trapped by his fans.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think
I agree.
Well, I think Annie was also supposed to represent his addiction to alcohol and drugs.
Yes.
Because he's so dependent on her to actually live, and she won't go away, and she loves him. And it's all these things in an abusive relationship that you can have with drugs and alcohol. Drink responsibly, kids.
That is always going to feed into Stephen King films of this era. I mean, I don't want to get too sidetracked by it, because that is Stephen King and his addiction and the impact of that on his writing is like a deep well. But just now, I'd just like to go to Dinah. As we got you on stream, which I'm really happy about, but the timing is a tad off given workload. So I know you said that we're not going to be able to have you the whole stream. So I just wanted to get some thoughts on this and closing thoughts on the film before we lose you, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm so sorry, by the way. So overall, the film, again, it was very hard for me to try to separate it from the book, because, as I said previously, I enjoyed it a lot. So looking at the standalone movie, I think that, like, obviously Annie, like, she was a fantastic character. Like, the representation of her, like, was just brilliant. And I think they did it very well to make sure that she herself builds up that, you know, with her emotional meltdowns all over the place, she kind of builds the the scenery quite well. So that was very well done. And overall, it really plays on this claustrophobia, and just the whole thing is very tense. I just wanted to say, as part of my closing thoughts, that I only missed one of the scenes from the from the book that mentioned that, you know how the sheriff got killed with a shotgun, right?
Yeah.
So in the book, he was actually mowed down with a lawnmower, and it was extremely brutal and gruesome. Like, the scene was amazing. Because I'm sorry, I'm going down the book lane again. But because it was obviously probably didn't want to use such a gruesome scene in the film, which is understandable. But I think they definitely could have made it a little bit more, insane.
It is. Yeah, I mean, there are two key moments, really, aren't there? There's like the hobbling scene is less bloody in the film, and then, as you say, the death of the sheriff is toned down as well.
Oh,
I think it would be.
sorry.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I think I don't know about that. I'd be interested. I think it could have been fun if she had actually used the lawnmower as well.
Yeah, she was also supposed to chop off one of his legs as opposed to just using the sledgehammer, which would have been quite interesting to see.
Yeah.
But
Budget?
yeah.
Budget, maybe?
Maybe. I think it's just more memorable.
Well, I think it works better as well because Annie's a very neat character. Everything in the home's really neat, and I can't imagine she'd want leg blood everywhere.
I think I know what it is. It's just there is still not a really good way to have a character lose a feet or a leg or an arm. You kind of, it's easier with an arm. You kind of have them tuck it behind their back and use the right angles, but it would have been kind of difficult to have him without a foot for the rest of the film. So, yeah, but thank you very much, Dinah. I'm really glad we got you on. I'm sorry the timing was a bit difficult.
It's absolutely fine. Thanks so much for having me as well.
It's been
Dziękuję.
But yes, that was Polish, wasn't it?
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to have to ask you back on when we start covering some David Lynch films.
Oh,
I really love your perspective on that.
And yeah, in the afternoon. No, that was a joke.
We'll do our best, eh? All right.
Okay.
All the best. Thanks,
Right.
Dinah.
All right,
Take
goodbye.
it easy.
Bye. Yes. So, yeah, I mean, I think we'll get on to the sort of difference between the book and the film when we get to that stuff. We touched on this, where it's the first big flip out and the violence moves so much closer. And we don't entirely de-escalate from that. In fact, it gets...
I think the tension remains, doesn't it, throughout? Even when her mood is a bit more upbeat, that tension very much remains, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we go from that to her coming back in, and she is on a brighter disposition, but it's still creepy because now you're like, oh no, the stakes have gone up here.
Yeah, and I mean, we're getting a reason as well before this as why she suspected that he escaped the room from the obvious bit, because he's on the floor, and it's really, when she finds him, and it's like you see him obviously get out of bed really painfully and go for the door, and she's going to work that out. She's not an idiot. So yeah, she finds him and says, she says, you wouldn't have fallen out of bed if I had a proper hospital bed, because obviously you can't go over the sides, but and it was obvious to me she's trying to keep him as a prisoner thanks to that. So
that hasn't happened yet, though, has it?
What?
Oh no, she sorry,
it's when she leaves for the few days.
Apologies. Okay. So we get to this. I think this is one of the signs that the film works so darn well. Is just effectively what's happening here is, he's just having to burn a book. I think if you are not invested, that's not going to seem as big a deal as it is. But it was the way it was communicated. I was bought in. Yeah. And the pain of him having, especially because, book burning is quite associated with a fair amount of revulsion in our culture. I think it worked, and it was
Oh
a
yeah.
way of the film being inventive with the horror.
Yeah,
Like
and
it,
the back and forth as well. Sorry, the back and forth when he tries to sort of call a bluff, when he's like, "Yeah, no, I've got like another dozen copies all ready to publish." So you know,
Yeah.
you're not really getting rid of the book, and she's like, "Are you joking?
I
I
know
know
you."
you.
Yeah.
I know you." After what was it? After his first book, he only made one copy and went with that ever since. So she was like, "I know." And then he's sort of like that realization is like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to do this, and I.
yeah,
But
and
you
just,
feel that pain, like you said, the absolute bite. You get the buy-in is there, and you do feel for him. Well, I mean, obviously, I speak for myself. I definitely felt for him.
oh, totally.
Yeah, and he's
Pain
trying
is
to
real, and it's just inventive. It's so much more interesting than just if she starts, taking a belt and leathering him.
Yeah, because he's put the charm on heavily as well, and then when she explains, basically, I know you're lying,
Yeah,
and then starts putting the gasoline on the bed, he's just
And-
like, okay, I'll
and-
burn it.
yeah,
in pain.
and the other thing about the book as well is, this book was he's out, wasn't it? He was killing.
Yeah.
He was essentially because he was killing off misery because he wanted to do new things. He didn't want to be stuck in this world writing these particular books. And essentially, what she's doing in that scene is saying, "No, you don't get to go free."
You don't get to escape, yeah.
Yeah, which is almost a metaphor to the predicament that he's actually in. So there's a double
how did
whammy.
I miss this? This is why I love having you on stream. Well done. I totally missed this.
But yeah, it's a double whammy, isn't it? I mean, the literal
Yeah.
sense, he's literally trapped in this situation, and metaphorically, he's now being trapped
Yeah.
into a life he's trying to get
And
away
he's
from.
forced to watch it as well, yeah.
Oh, good. So,
And it's-
this, the book is called Untitled, but in the novel I looked up, it's called Fast Cars, which I
Yeah.
think is after the Tracy Chapman song, which is all about basically you want to escape, you want to get out of somewhere. You've got a fast car, we can go out anywhere from here. So that title is very much about him wanting to get out of the life he's in.
Yeah.
Oh, darn it. That is such a good catch. Well done.
Yeah, and he's not only that, he's forced to burn it himself. So although he's coerced into it, it still has to be his choice that he doesn't want to leave it, despite the fact he's been abused into it. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Well,
Me likey.
he does, and at the same, I mean, this is one of the things where it's so risky for a film because he burns a book. It's an intense emotional moment, and she's going, what's she saying? Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, heavens to Betsy.
Oh, heavens to Betsy. Yeah.
It's such a tough line to walk, isn't it? It's such a difficult balance to strike.
Does she say that it's an? She's like, this is an oogie, or?
She does say like she feels so oogie.
That's it. Yeah.
She does drop a few, and she's already dropped Dirty Birdie, which.
Yeah.
If you remember the Carrie stream, it's a shame we didn't get Poe on because I wanted to ask her if Dirty Birdie had stuck around in her household the way Dirty Pillows did.
Yeah.
I've got to admit, I still drop Dirty Pillows occasionally.
Yeah.
So we get to the scene and we get
Well,
sunny good mood Annie again. It's all right, guys. Everything's fine.
well,
Right?
and you missed the detail in the night. He stopped taking his painkillers and he started hiding it in the mattress.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I totally skipped that. Yes.
But that's like small detail. But yeah, and then she's started to say, "Oh, I had you a special surprise that I told you about. It's an electric razor," and we talked about that she doesn't want a bladed weapon and all that.
Yeah, again, I love it. It's this kind of crafty thing. Like she's got a heck of a brain there. She is crafty as heck.
Well, yeah, and I think he says, what's he say? He's like, "Oh, if I knew this was a surprise, I would have burned all my books." And she's like, "No, that's not the surprise. I'm forcing you to write for me."
Yeah.
And so it's like, here's your, tiny table, with a, here's my typewriter that I got cheap because it's missing the letter N.
Don't do it, Haryan.
No.
Unfortunately, no,
Who
we
has
can't
it?
make. We can make Igor towers.
Oh no. There's that scene is hitting differently for the Xbox Live generation.
But as all this is happening, as he's being put at the desk and she's getting all the stuff, he notices on the floor there's a hairpin that she is clearly got in her hair in this scene. So she comes back with all the stuff, ink ribbons, paper, all that. He's like, "Oh, look, all this stuff I've done for you," and he says, "This is really good, but there's one small issue. Like, I can't use this paper." And she's like, "Why?" And he's like, "Well, it smudges." And she's like, basically says, "It's the most expensive. How can it smudge?" CA types out smudge and smudge it. He says, "Well, there, I can't use that because it's pointless if it smudges." And so she says, "Fine, I'll get the paper." And then she goes off on one again. She's like, "I do everything for you. I feed you, I clothe you, I bathe you, all that. And all I want is a little appreciation here, Mr. Man." She starts calling him Mr. Man.
Mr. Man.
Yeah.
And then she slaps the expensive paper on his legs, which really hurts him because she's off on one again. And then she just slams the door, locks it, drives off.
And you notice, like, he was already trying to placate her. He was trying to talk her down. Like,
he was preemptively saying it's like one small favor that you need to do if you want me to write anyway. And then she goes off.
He was trying to like. I think he knew he'd set her off, and he was already scared because he starts doing the look, I want to show you everything. I'll give you all the inside knowledge, and it doesn't work. Like, she's already raging. How did you react when she slams that down on his legs?
I winced.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly the same thing. I winced.
It's like when I see someone get kicked in the balls. It's the exact same reaction.
Yeah, it's brutal. I know they keep doing his legs, but it works. And one of the things I love about this is that the choice of how to hurt him is very creative.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And that sticks in your head so much more.
Yeah, it's almost like she doesn't realise she's hurting him as well when she does it. She's just really frustrated and wants to break something.
Did you wince? Were you like Were you physically repulsed when she did that?
I mean, it's a very different way of inflicting pain upon someone, because she could quite easily, slap him across the face or kick his legs or something like that. But it's quite creative just to take a pile of paper and just whack it down on his injured legs. It invokes a reaction. I'll definitely give it that.
Yeah, it was good.
Oh, Devonte Huntley, proper hobble show. Why did you change your name? It's been like that since the beginning of the stream, but you'll find out why, my friend. You will find out why.
Welcome to the show.
Devonte, I've got to ask you: have you seen Misery? Like, we have full spoilers in this, which I don't think we warned for this time.
Spoilers, guys! Just to let you know, there's going to be spoilers in this stream.
Yeah, we're also going to spoil the remaining 50 minutes of the movie. We'll see. It's a famous scene. Devonte, we can't ruin. We'll tell you the details of this movie, but we can't spoil it. This film is amazing. It has to be experienced. Now, while she's away, and I think there is an extent to which he was just basically BSing, so she would leave. And maybe.
You mean about the paper?
Well, yeah, I think he could use it even if it's smudged. That'd be my guess. I reckon. But he's a writer, so he'd know about the different types of paper. But then, so he could probably still use it. But yeah, he wants her out of the house, and especially while the hairpin's on the floor. Yeah. Because he goes over, picks it up, and then I hate the lock picking bit because that's not how you pick a lock. Do you know what? I knew you would.
I was annoyed too.
Bring that up.
Yeah, you can do it with just a hairpin. So I've done it before, but it's really hard. Yeah. But the bit that points, like the bit he bent, he was doing it up, and that's just hitting nothing. You're just hitting the cylinder. You need to have the pointy pick going down into where the pins are, and they did the opposite every single time it was a close up, and I was like, oh, this is triggering me. Why do you think a key's shaped the way it is? But,
it's one of those weird movie logic things, like how people can get knocked out for minutes. It's just look, we need this person not to be able to react. Please, they have to be knocked out for minutes. It's fine.
Yeah,
it could just be one of those like fangled American style doors.
No.
It could just be how the it could just be how the Yanks do. I'm just saying,
no, it's not.
Can an American confirm? Are your doors built like that? Are the locks in your doors built like that you have to turn a hairpin all the way up?
No, I'm not having it.
If you're catching this after the stream, leave a comment and let Proper Horror Show know.
And I can see people saying, "Oh, this is a nitpick," and I'm like, "No, it's the only way it gets out of the room.
It's a hairpin."
Way. Oh god, but yeah, I mean, I can ignore it if he has it and he can open the door. They just showed it completely wrong because he doesn't even like turn it. He just kind of fiddles about. It's like click. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, that was easy.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. It was just funny when I saw that scene and how easy it was. I was like, Harry's gonna call that out.
Yeah. They just got me. But so yeah, at this point he has a look around the house. He tries the front door, locked. Obviously, he's like, great. Can't pick the more special locks, I suppose. Which I think is actually easier to do the type of lock it's got on the door with a hairpin, but. You get the idea. He can't do it. And then, he goes into the living room, sees a phone. He's like, oh, I can call someone. Just a hollow phone. And he's like, you crazy bitch. What I loved is that it still had a wire going into it. But then, all the innards are not there. So why would you still have the wire? But I don't know. I found it quite funny.
So this was actually picked up on the director commentary.
Okay.
So this is a weird case. So we're doing the script, and they basically said, "Okay, we know he's going to try and escape. So why does he not manage that?" And so they started working out, what would you try? Well, you try the door. No, it's locked, and he can't drive anyway. Okay, good. Right. Well, he'll try and phone. Okay. Well, her phone is hollow, and they admitted it was just. The phone needed to not work, and they didn't have a great reason. Oh, the advantage of DVD commentaries.
Oh, there you go.
They didn't have a good reason for her not to have a phone, is that?
They didn't have a good reason for why she has a phone shell with nothing inside it.
I took it as aesthetics and nothing more, because I know why she doesn't have the inside of a phone. It's because she doesn't get calls or visitors. That part was fine, but and she is crazy, and like. Yeah, I can see her just having a phone just to make it look a bit more like home, like a lived-in home. So I didn't really mind that too much.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and it was a bit of a comic relief. I mean, if they couldn't justify it themselves, I think they'd just take the phone out. But there you go. And then he rolls about a bit more, knocks a porcelain penguin off a tabletop and. Puts it back the wrong way. Oh. He didn't have it facing due south, which I did pick up on. And I'm like, oh, he's going to get caught. And he sees the little shrine to him with all the books and a little signed picture of him. Which I don't think he really minded. But then, it
could have been creepier.
It wasn't the worst shrine I've seen. And he finds his way to the medicine cabinet as well. Takes some of the painkillers, a whole thing of them, and then goes to the kitchen and sees a back door, and he's like, oh, I need to make it to that. But I don't know why, but that was the only door in the house that his wheelchair couldn't go through. It was just slightly thinner than the rest. I don't get the whole reason why, but it was. So
Americans, please respond.
Yeah. I mean, you got different sized doors. I've never known a door not to fit a wheelchair through, especially if she's a nurse, but who knows? I guess that doesn't matter. But anyway, he's on the floor, tries to make it over to the door. oh, wouldn't you know it, it's locked.
Oh,
Because she locks everything, despite living
Yep.
alone. Well, I guess if you've got a prisoner in the house and you don't want him out, you'd lock everything.
Yeah, it's
But
a
yeah,
more explicit reveal of she is planning to keep him in, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And so he then hears her driving back, and he's like, "Oh my god, I've got to get back to the room."
yeah.
So yeah, there's this mad dash for him to like crawl back across. He's in massive pain. He's really sweaty. You really feel the pain. He gets back through. He molests the lock again, and it just locks.
I mean, he sells it though, doesn't he? It works.
Oh, his
so
panic
well.
does, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then and so he's back where he's back in his room, sweating his tits off. But the medicine he put down, the pills he put down his pants. He's like, he notices that they're still there. Now she comes through the door. He kind of puts his hand over it, and then he can act as if he's like in massive amounts of pain. And she's like, "Oh my god, what's happened?" And he's like, "You know what's happened? I've been in pain. I need my pain medicine now." And she's like, "Well, I'll put you into bed first." And he's really insisting that he gets the pain medicine first. And she's kind of distrusting of him, but then just says, "Oh, it breaks my heart to see you like this." And she goes to get the medicine, and he, hides it again. I love this bit. While he's taking it, she says, "Oh, I had a think on my drive. I think the reason I've never been popular is because of my violent outbursts."
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that'll be it. So yeah, she puts him back to bed, leaves him be for a bit, and then next scene is they find Paul's car, the police, and they have a little statement saying he's probably dead.
All right, can we talk about that statement?
Yeah, cool.
There is no way on God's green earth, right, that a statement would be delivered to the media like that. When he's like, he's probably dead, and he sort of turns back, sort of points towards, but he's probably, his body's out there, probably, decomposing. We'll have a look when he thaws out, but that's unless the animals have got to him first. It's like,
you just say he's presumed dead.
Yeah, you don't say it. You don't say that.
It's a bit brutal, isn't it?
Imagine when they were looking for Brian Laundrie, right, after the whole Gabby Petito stuff, and they're like, "Yeah, his body's probably out in the forest somewhere." But we'll have a look when the water levels go down. Chances are he's probably dead. The crocs have probably got to him, but you never know.
Well, what?
No, don't say that.
Yeah, I mean, what I love as well is that if you look in the background of this picture, you see where he's doing the thing, where the crane is, where the car is. So they picked up the car, and it's obviously in the background of all the cameras for a good shot. But you just carry this massive car over all these people. That crane malfunctions. You've got about 5 crushed people.
Yeah.
They're not people; they're journalists.
Exactly. Yeah, journos aren't people.
Okay,
But and what's interesting as well, as he's given this conference, the camera's panning away and the audio's quieting down because you're now bringing focus into the sheriff. So if you have to listen carefully for him give this epic press conference. Or this epic media announcement talking about he's screwed. The animals have probably got to him first, whilst also having to sort of scan over the fact that the sheriff is suspicious that he didn't get himself out of the car.
It's good logic, but there's not really a reason that this goes directly into he got out and he's probably dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as well, if you're not going to assume that someone helped him out, because then you think, well, they'd call the police, wouldn't they? But then the sheriff's obviously thinking, that's clearly someone got in there.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 whopping great big sort of like dents, or say the metal's warped on the driver's side door from where obviously the crowbar was used. Yeah. And my only sort of qualm with this is when his wife turns around to him and says, "Oh, you don't think he got himself out?" And he's like, "Nah," and I'm like, "Why aren't you sharing that information now?" What are you keeping it to yourself?
But, I mean, he keeps a lot to himself, which is sort of interesting, relevant to his rescue attempt, that. Basically, he's really not sharing his working, but Annie assumes when he arrives that she's got very limited time. It's which is not an unfair assumption.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a nice little detail. But then we we hit this scene. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, well, first the quick scene where you find out why he's got the medicine. He's getting all the powder and he's savouring it in a little paper kind of packet thing that he's made himself. Yeah. So yeah, and next Paul's typing away, and crazy tits comes in, saying, "Oh, it's not good enough. It's not good enough, Paul.
Yeah.
What you've written just isn't fair." And she's acting like me if I was mental.
So
because
she's acting like you then.
And, well, maybe, but she's saying like, "Oh, you can't just say that." All I can think of is the Family Guy bit where it's like, "Oh, a child's wish brought Snuggly Jeff back to life," but it was basically, what was it? An experimental blood transfusion.
That's it.
Is what saved her in this, and she's like, "That's just bollocks. That can't happen."
I think there's a great little, like I said, this is super meta. Like, this is Stephen King kind of joking about the kind of crap that he can put in and get away with. But he's also pointed out people pick up on these weird details, but they'll let him get away with absolute nonsense. Like, I think it's a very sort of cheeky joke.
Yeah, well, it's kind of it's criticizing retconning, really, isn't it? It's because totally. Something happened in the last book we didn't know about, but the thing is, this is normal now to do that. It's happening throughout the MCU now, happening throughout the new Star Wars trilogies, and I'm on Crazy Tit's side. Just don't retcon. It's really annoying unless it's for good reason and not just lazy. She came back to life because of a child's wish type of thing. And then she explains how her favourite thing in the world was going to the movies for the chapter plays, which he said, cliffhangers, and then she had a go at me. It's like, I know what they are.
Well, he was mansplaining.
Haryan, he was mansplaining. That is a fair point. But yeah,
so I wanted to ask on this. I don't want to delay on us too long, but because this could be a topic in future. But did this surprise you, her mention of going effectively for Saturday morning cartoons at the cinema?
No. I mean, I think she's showing her age, isn't she, really?
Yeah, totally.
No, I kind of expect, I was aware that a lot of the stuff back in the days would have been done in the old theatres.
Absolutely. You pre-1950s, you do not have a TV in every home, but you have a Saturday children's matinee that, my parents, my parents were there for the children's matinees. I remember catching, I think the equivalents were like Flash Gordons and so on in serials. I could remember, just like, it's basically Saturday morning cartoons that you'd go and see in the cinema with which sounds kind of based. I think that's pretty epic, right?
Yeah, cool. I can just imagine myself acting like her if I'm really drunk on stream, to like really getting into talking about Star Wars, basically. I
think for the House of a Thousand Corpses special, I will need you all about 3 drinks in. I'm just saying.
I can do that. But I mean, she goes on about this cartoon saying like, in the Saturday before, we saw the car drive off a cliff and that's where it ended. But in the next week, they put a new scene in where he jumps out the car just before it goes over, and everyone cheered, but I didn't. I got up and shouted, "No! Have you all got amnesia? They cheated us."
Yeah.
Like
Annie is 100% right.
Absolutely.
Panther, I've chosen. I took great care choosing the screenshot.
Yeah, she shouts, "He didn't get out of the cock-a-doodling car." All I can think of is the Family Guy bit where he's talking about the film Contact, which I haven't seen but did read the synopsis of.
Okay.
And it's like, the government make this big spaceship or whatever, but it gets blown up by Jake Busey. But then they found out this private investor's like, oh, I've got the exact same one on the other side of the world. And everyone cheered. And I got up and said, no, because the ship was blown up by Jake Cockadoodie Busey. Yeah, I think it's my favourite bit of the Family Guy skit.
I am going to have to watch that now. I need to.
It's really good.
Are we just... Look, Annie is not swearing. She's dressed amazingly. And she's calling out crappy writing. Come on. She is the heroine of the movie.
She's the Longman.
Absolutely. She's Mauler. Yeah.
I don't know how well he'd take that.
He'll have to come on stream and tell us.
Yeah, I also like when he's heard that story, Paul. He says, well, they always cheated like that in chapter plays. He corrects himself to not. Oh God,
don't set her off! Don't set her off!
Yeah, and she's just like, oh, you can't do this with misery. There can't have been any experimental blood transfusion that saved her life, and I'm just like, this is like watching EFAP.
Oh. Yeah, when she talks about the chapter plays, and he's like, oh, because he obviously knows what he's going to talk when mention, and he sort of goes sort of nods and goes cliffhangers, and she's like, I know that, Mr. Man.
Yeah. I like that's insulting to Annie. Like she's about 10 tiers higher than CinemaSins.
Yes.
CinemaSins is like, oh, that was a funny joke. I'm going to take a sin off. What? Oh, this thing, like, I like this thing. I'm putting a sin on anyway. I can go on about CinemaSins.
CinemaSins would add a sin for there not being a lap dance in this.
Yes.
Think about that. Shocking.
And they just put a sin on because it's like, 20 seconds of logos. It's like, what? That's in every film.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you even get through films of the 1940s where all the credits are at the start?
At the beginning, yeah.
Like, that's like 4 or 5 minutes sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry. So Paul, we get to Paul, very alarmed, tries to put his scheme into action. He tries to manipulate.
Whoa.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
This is like 20 minutes.
Sorry.
we missed the whole scene where
go on.
He's rewritten, and she's like, oh, this is great, because of course you got stung by a bee.
Yes.
And I was like, but the blood transfusion, why weren't you happy with the blood transfusion? It's like, it picks up on things before. And I'm like, no, this isn't how consistent writing works. It needs to be established that she's stung by a bee, or have something on her body that shows it.
I think it's a sly joke about what you can get away with, basically.
Yeah, it probably is. I found that whole thing funny, because she's like the opposite of being really angry. She's like, oh, it's all great. I'll fill in all the ends and all that. And I'm like, oh, wow. I think you'll find a certain profanity in there.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And then she's like asking questions like, will she have amnesia like the last bee sting? And he's like, oh, you'll have to wait.
You have to wait.
Yeah, because after that scene, you have the sheriff and the wife with the affair joke, where she's on the phone saying, no, sheriff's out, probably having an affair, and he's just coming in and she says that, and he says, I'm flattered that you think I have that much energy.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But he's and it's established that he's ended up finding all the books, because I want to bring up the detective line. There's not a lot to say, but I do like how it's all pieced together. It's really good how he ends up finding her, basically. But he's bought all the books and planning to read through it. It's basically all that establishes. But yes, we've now got to this scene where he said, now that misery's back to life, why don't we celebrate? Have it there.
It was a successful manipulation. He's failed so far.
Yeah.
But this one, it worked. Kind of.
Yeah, and so he's having a nice meal and all that, and he's saying, we should toast, let's have some wine. And he pours it, and he pours a lot in her glass, and she's saying, no, stop, for quite a while, and he's just kind of pretending not to notice. What does he have? He says, why don't you get a candle, it'll be a bit more atmospheric. And while she's off doing that, he gets his little paper out with the drugs in, pours it all in and swirls it around, gets it dissolved. So she comes back with the candle, lights it, and then they have a toast again. and it's like, oh, it's a misery being back to life, whatever. And she's like, oh, cool. Knocks the candle a bit, and then it's like, oh no, I've dropped it. As she goes to reach for it, knocks over the glass as well. And his face, yeah, I love his face. It's
so
just
good.
It just looks like he wants to end it all.
Yeah.
He's like, and I genuinely think in this scene, it's really hard to tell if she actually did that accidentally or if she did it on purpose. I find it really hard to tell.
I suspect. Well, okay, we know later that she knows he's been getting out.
Yeah.
So I do wonder if she's noticed all the painkillers going in, and she's like, we find out she's pretty aware of what his plans are. So possibly she was on this.
I'm kind of on that side as well. I think she did do it on purpose, but it's done so well. It does genuinely look like she did it by accident.
Yeah.
It's not like she knocks her hand out of the way, clearly on purpose to do it. It's well acted. It's like a arm or elbow. She's clearly going for it. It's really good.
Oh yeah.
And then she's like, "Oh, can you forgive me? Pretend it didn't happen." And he's just, he looks up and smiles a bit while still in pain.
What's the phrase? He's got a face like a bulldog licking piss off a nettle. Just
That's a new one. Never heard that one.
I love it. This is part of the film's just unbelievably dark humor here.
Yeah.
Just like you're kind of encouraged to laugh at his fate. I just want to ask you guys something.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few jokes in the film, especially like in this scene and later, where it's kind of like highlighting Annie's. I don't know if like redneck is specific to an area, but like where they just kind of point out she's not classy.
Mm.
And I just like that's one thing I don't really like. Just like
How do you mean not classy?
It's a bit where he's praising her meatloaf and asks what the secret is, and she's like, real tomatoes, and I mix in some spam, and it's kind of like I don't know what we're meant to feel about that. If it's meant to be like he's more sophisticated and she's silly for cooking like that. I don't know.
I just took it as basically she doesn't have great people skills. It's kind of like, because if you're asked like how you cook something that tastes so good, you'll just say like, skill, or it's a secret or something. You give a bit more to it, whereas her it's just like potatoes, spam, egg beams, and spam.
Don't forget the spam.
Yeah.
Spam was a weird one to hear, to be honest.
I've never had it, but I want to try it. I didn't. I don't know. I didn't think much of it, to be honest. I just went, well, making conversation. He's clearly just trying to be charming, and she's just answering brutally honestly, because that's her character. She just says everything dead to rights. She never. Well, she does lie actually quite a few times. But I was going to say she lies by omission, but no, she just outright says, "Oh, I call people for you," and she doesn't. But she doesn't do it that often. Yeah.
So it's interesting when you find out how early she started lying to him. But
first day, yeah.
But anywhere.
So I mean that's that scene, and then we get the little writing montage. Writing up to about 30 odd chapters or something, and then winter's coming to an end, and he's also doing like weightlifting with the typewriter just to get strength back in his arm, which I really liked.
Yeah.
But in this scene it's raining, and as she comes in, he obviously puts it down, pretends his arm's still injured. And she's just like, the rain really depresses me.
I love this stuff. I mean, she won an Oscar for this role. And I can see why. Like this thing, I wouldn't say she was ever glamorous in the movie, but this scene where she kind of is zombied out, that just struck me as so real. Like she clearly, like, she's in a low mood, she's depressed at this point.
Yeah. Well,
I found it so believable.
Yeah, she was always in like working clothes at the very least, and she always had her hair relatively kempt, and here it's just it's just, she looks a mess.
It's just so like, it's unvain. It's so believable to like that sort of low mood when the depression hits, I'm like, oh gosh, yep, going around very zombied out. I'm impressed that we've got this far into the stream without mentioning Lindsay Ellis. Let's keep going. But there is a bit of a resemblance. Like,
yeah, but like Kathy Bates looks much better in this scene specifically.
I swear we could do a good shoot of just put Doug Walker in the bed in the hobbling scene. But no.
That would have been a good Photoshop.
Oh dear, I shouldn't have said. Anyway, yeah, I love this scene. It's one of those ones that is there just to it adds a lot of, the main purpose of it is to try and focus in on the fact, like, the threat is real, the conflict is real. She's kind of putting a timer on the conflict.
Yeah.
Like, look, we're going to resolve this story when your book finishes. You know, she's really putting like an end in sight.
Yeah.
And adding the tension there. Look, I've got this gun. I know you're going to leave, and oh gosh, I might put some bullets in here. Like, it is there to like amp up the tension and really hone the story in on what the threat is. But they also get, because of her being in a low mood, you get so much extra depth to her character in this scene. I just really love it.
Well, she basically says, "Yeah, I just don't want to be alone." That's basically what she says, and she's just projected all this fear of loneliness onto poor Paul, and she'll literally do anything to not be alone. She says you'll never know what it's like to lose someone like you if you're someone like me. And then shows him the revolver.
Oh yeah.
And she just leaves saying, "I might put bullets in it."
Also makes it clear, like, the whole, she knows that, like, the love conflict, that she wants him to love her and she knows he doesn't. It's like, oh gosh. But, well, do you want to take us into the iconic scene?
Do it.
Oh, is this right? This is the memory lane one. Well, we're nearly there.
We get a little investigation. We get a little more backstory.
Yeah. Well, we got to get there first. A few things. So, get a quick scene with the sheriff in bed reading a misery book, and he notices a thing, and he's like, "Oh, I recognise that line." And he writes it down. It's like, "I'll be judged by God" or something like that.
There is a do you guys remember it?
The whole line.
There is. Oh, God, it's stuck in there. There is a justice higher than that of man. I will be judged by him. I thought, that's pretty epic.
Yeah.
That sticks in the head. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the other thing. When she goes with the gun, she actually goes for, I think it's one of those things where she goes for a few days again. So he instantly takes the opportunity, and he's off to get the knife. And then you get the scene with the sheriff, and then it goes back and he looks through the memory lane book. And he notices a few things, her dad's mysteriously died. Okay. What's next? Oh, her husband's mysteriously gone missing. Huh? Oh, she's head maternity nurse at a hospital. Cool. Oh, why are 11 kids dead? Yeah.
This is
all of it disconcerting.
Dark stuff, and weirdly, it's under how can I say, it's under stressed.
Yeah,
but I think from what we've seen so far about her flipping out, I think that lets you draw an incredibly nightmarish conclusion about what happened in that hospital.
When this reveal was going on and you're essentially getting her kill count, all I could think of was one thing. All I could think of was one thing. Hello, and welcome to the chair.
Yeah, and as I was saying with the pig before, so in one of the pages it says like nurse question in hospital about infants' deaths, and then under that headline you've got pictures of her pig, and that just made me think she's done a brick top. Get the bodies, cut them up into 8 pieces.
Well,
they can get through a human body in 8 minutes.
I am glad you thought that too. Now, I have.
Yeah.
Sorry, we'll get to. I want to talk about Zoe's comment there, but I got the feeling that this was a plot element brought in by Stephen King, but never actually used. Like the way he writes, he's not really a big planner. He tends to just sort of write and go with the feeling, with a very loose outline. He's not a massive scheduler of plots and design. So I think he did put the pig in to give you the idea that this is how she'd possibly get rid of Paul's body.
Yeah.
I totally think that was the plan.
Right.
Well, I don't know if she was planning murder-suicide from the start, but if she was, she has a backup plan for all this, because pigs are very good at hiding bodies.
Well, in the book, I'm just confirming this, because I looked up in the book. Originally, I think she did kill him. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Let me just.
No. I read the synopsis before.
Hang on. Where are we? Okay, got it.
Yeah.
While discussing the pros and cons of pre-plotting novels, King mentioned that he had originally planned for Annie to force her prisoner to write a book, which she would then bind in Paul's skin. Here we go. Yeah, it would have made a pretty good story. Not such a good novel, however. No one likes to root for a guy over the course of 300 pages, only to discover that between chapters 16 and 17, the pig ate him. So he was planning it originally, and then he left the pig in. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Well,
so
there you go.
I want you guys to discuss this point. I will be back in a minute.
Yeah. Well, it's.
I would say maybe.
See what?
I would say maybe.
She wants him to see what?
Oh, the essentially the kill count.
Oh, right. No, because I don't know.
It almost feels like a bit of a 4D chess element.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think she should. I mean, she had it anyway.
Annie Gain or Annie Geen.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe because I mean, again, Annie is a very, very intelligent character. A bit of a loose cannon, a bit on the mental side, but highly intelligent. And we already, we know that she knows that Paul's roaming around the lodge, the cabin. So maybe it is sort of a look what I've done.
Yeah.
Don't mess with me,
Well, I think she just kept it as mementos, and
maybe
she just leaves everything as it is. She's got a neat system in her house. I don't think she necessarily cared if he saw it or not. I mean, she was planning to kill him.
Yeah.
Matter. And why would she want him to provoke her into anything? Why would it? Nah, I think it was more for an audience thing, really.
Maybe.
I mean, he'd obviously be interested.
We did need some backstory, basically. We do want to know a little bit more about her. Yeah.
Or maybe she left it out to try and tempt him back. Well, he would have been tempted back out anyway to try and escape. So, So she returns, God knows how long after. He's practicing getting the knife out from his sling, which I found cool. And I'm like, yes, that would probably be effective. But she just goes straight up to bed. So he hides the knife under his mattress, and he's like, I'll see you in the morning then. Morning comes, and he's tied down to the bed.
Yeah.
Well, he wakes up and she injects him, right?
Oh, sorry, yeah, she sedates him, injects him with sedatives.
You're just
in
relaxing,
night.
and then suddenly
Yeah.
you get a flash, and she's there, big close up, and you're like, "Oh gosh!"
Yeah, it kind of did the horror movie thing where it's like flash of lightning, wake up, she's already there, just staring at him, and then she
yeah.
sedates in, and I'm like, just have her in the middle of doing it. I think it'd make it better. I could have phrased that better, but I think it would have. The scene would have worked better for me. I just don't like when the movie thing does movie thing. Yeah, so he's tied down after waking up from it, and she says, "Oh, I know you've been going around. I left my scrapbook out. I can't imagine what you'd be thinking of me." So maybe she did want him to see it. I don't know. I'm undecided on that. And he's obviously rooting around for the knife, and she says, "Well, you're looking for this, and I have it. I know your game," because she's obviously going to see a missing knife.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, she says, "Well, clearly you're not accepting the idea of being here yet. So I'm going to keep you around so you are good with it. And to make sure you stay around, I'm going to do what they did to the slaves at the Kimberley diamond mines, to the slaves that stole diamonds. You're going to get your legs broke." So puts the block of wood between his ankles, sledgehammers both of them, and you get a really good shot of the first one. Oh, I just watched it again.
It's so built
it's
up. Like,
pretty
this
bad,
is such an iconic scene, but let's just talk about how it's built up to. There is a game here. Like, he wakes up and he's trying to see if he can weasel his way out of it, and he can't. And she's next to him, and he knows he's tied down, so it's serious, but he's reaching for his knife, and then she's like, "Oh, this," and he realizes, "I can't BS my way out of this.
I am screwed." Yeah.
And then it's the build up to it and the specificity, like the close up of placing the block between his ankles. It is just.
And then after she's done both of it, focuses on her face and she says, "God, I love you."
Oh yeah.
I'm like,
I mean, I need to hear what was the reaction to the impact, because gosh, I still winced. I still had to look away.
Well, when I was a kid, I'd done my ligaments in my left ankle, and so it was a bit weakened for a while. And I don't know, man. Seeing that just brought it back. I was like, oh my god, I felt like I needed to limp myself.
Ooh.
It was horrible.
It is creative.
It is amazing. And you know what I like for my my special effects with the old real ones. Obviously, CGI wasn't a thing back in those days. So the practical effects, it's just so simple, isn't it? It's just wonderful.
It really does work. You don't see the other one; you just get the reaction and the noise. And gosh, that noise!
I think that's really good that you don't see the second one, just because I think it's. I think the point of that is, well, you see the first one, and that's bad enough, and it's kind of like you don't need to see the second one. You know what's happening.
Yeah, and also
no, it's not nice.
I am glad we did not get the novels version. I like this so it's so much more memorable than if the foot was chopped off.
Oh, I see. Okay, so that's what happens in the novel then.
Yeah, the feet are chopped off and then cauterized, and I'm just like, I don't know, man. This is so much more memorable.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
It's just unheard of. Yeah, it's just unheard of. Oh man.
Shall I get that off the screen?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I'm more than happy for you to keep it up there. Haryan, maybe not.
All right. Oh well, I mean, this sticks in everyone's head when they see the movie. Oh gosh, and it's absolutely iconic.
That was the memorable scene that I mentioned at the beginning.
No, I've taken that. I've skipped ahead, but there's just one thing I want to talk about here because this is so sick. When she's busted his feet open, and as you said, she says, "God, I love you."
Yeah.
how post-coital is that? Like it's a very like it's erotic, right? She is getting a kind of sexual vibe from that.
Getting a kick from it, yeah.
Yeah, like she's just butt broken him, and it's just
yeah, and it's
and she's like, and she's like, I wish you'd do that to me. Break me,
no,
break me, daddy.
She's panting. It is a very disturbing vibe that's put into it. I'm like, ugh, just adds to it.
Moist.
Oof. All right, Mitch.
Nufna.
Start talking filth and you turn up, eh? What's going on? All right. So we get to this. I personally think this is good, but a tiny bit of a reach. So
no, I don't. You're gonna remember a serial killer. Something's gonna connect, and you get step by step every way of what connects it. So he's reading the book. He reads the line from Misery Book, and he writes it down because he's like, I think I've heard that before, but I don't know where. I'll keep it for later. He then sees Annie in town, and she's causing a bit of a scene because, well, to be fair, the woman driver is actually good in this case. But she has a go at someone in town outside the sheriff's office, and he sees it. Gives her a long look, and he's like, oh. You see it as he's looking at her go in the store. He's like, hang on a minute. So gets this piece of paper where he's written the quote, and then he goes, I want to investigate it. Like, when was well, obviously it's sort of skip, but you know that he's gone to the old newspapers in the library because he thinks that's where he's seen it before. And yeah, he's found it. I mean, this isn't way out there. I mean, this has taken months. You see what's made it click. It's not out of nowhere. So now this isn't a reach, I don't think. And all it does is get him to investigate it. That's all it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose him seeing her, I can get the idea that her weird statement is stuck in his head. Yeah. And it's reading the book and then meeting her sort of does the job.
Yeah, because I'm not... Because I will probably... Because I can't quote any of the serial killers from TCG's videos. But if I hear the quote from somewhere else, my head will go, I think I've heard that before. And then if I'm like, if he comes up in a Wikipedia article or something, I don't know. I'll make the connection if I'm trying to find it. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose when it's your local serial killer, your local dragon
exactly.
lady. Yeah, go on then. All right. I retract.
It's I mean, for you could probably call it contrivance, but it's a very forgivable one, I'd say.
Oh, I forgive it.
Yeah, you're handheld through it, which I think is fair enough as well.
I have more of a problem with the empty phone, so...
Yeah, the empty phone was worse, yeah. But still funny. The only thing I've got a massive issue with so far is the lock picking.
Yes. Justifiable, to be fair.
Yeah. And then not only that, he goes into the shop after she's gone, and he says, that new Misery book, like... when it came out, like, did it sell well? He's like, well, it always sells well. He's a top writer. And then he asks basically about Annie, saying what's she buying, and he says, oh, she's buying typewriter paper. And then he's like, missing writer, probably still alive. She doesn't buy 3 lots of typewriter paper for nothing. It's fair enough to then go down and investigate. So sheriff car approaches. And he instantly comes in with a sedative, and he's like, "Oh my god!" Instantly tries to fight, but not.
Oh, I love that though. At this bit, like, there's no pretense. They are just openly at war.
She just marches in the room. Literally, instantly, he's just like on the defensive.
Yeah.
Obviously, his ankles are broken, so he can't do much. So she quickly puts him in the basement from a through a hidden door, and the sheriff's in. He says, "Can I have a look around?" And she says, "Yeah, go on." And then she kind of already says to him, like, "I don't get many visitors," and already then it's kind of her weird social awkwardness isn't like, it's understandable. Because she just mentions, like, "Oh, I'm a big fan of him. I was sad when he went missing, Paul Sheldon. I mean." I've started taking up writing to try and be more like him. Like, let me show you the desk and all that. So she's kind of already preemptively explaining it all.
Oh, and of course she's socially got her cover story. That's what I love, though. She's got the cover story. She is intelligent.
Yeah.
There's a deep,
Yeah,
fierce
exactly.
intelligence there.
Yeah, exactly. And I loved every second of it. And she's like, "Oh, I'll get you some hot cocoa if you want." He says, "Yeah." So goes off, and he she kind of checks him a couple of times to be like, "Oh, what's he doing?" They see each other and laugh, and it's just awkward because you know she's really trying to hide something, and he probably knows that, but yeah, he just goes around looking, and yeah, I mean, he leaves after that. She's like, "Oh, I've got you, Coco." He's like, "Nah, I better go." And she's annoyed because she's made this hot chocolate. He's just going.
I like that chat has detected the cat. Yes, he wants to come in. Give me a second.
All right. As he's leaving, Paul wakes up from the sedation.
Yep.
Which I can kind of believe. I can believe that she didn't get it all in. I can believe that because his heart rate would be up. That actually, I think that gets rid of toxins quicker in your body. I think that's true. Someone tell me if I'm wrong. I want to learn. But yeah,
I can understand she's in a rush, basically.
Yeah. So he finds the hidden door, sees him down there, and he's like, Paul says, "Please help me," and then his chest literally explodes, but there's no alien there because it's 12 gauge buckshot instead.
Oof.
Yeah, which I mean, gun experts will know better than me. I don't think it can make a hole as big as it did, but
do you know, this bit caught me well out.
I really liked it.
It's such a smack in the face.
It really is.
Yeah.
And this is where I was really thinking of Psycho. Because in Psycho you have that scene at the top of the stairs when Norman Bates attacks is it a journalist? I can't remember. That's the one, yeah.
It's the private detective.
Yeah, and it's just so instant, and that's and that's exactly how this happens. But yeah, he's just like, Paul, bang! Oh my god, it threw me off, man.
No hope for you.
Yeah, just down. Oh,
yeah, it's so cruel. I love it.
Yeah, and then after she kills him, she's just like, "Well, this is it. We're gonna have to murder suicide. There's 2 bullets in my gun. Finish off your thing, and we're done." And then he kind of tries to do his best to make best of the situation. So he just says, "I love you, Annie," and I agree with you. Basically, try and manipulate her again.
He does. He knows what she wants, basically, and he's got the 2 points to pull on. He can go with the love angle and the misery angle. Like those are his 2 gambits. He tries both of them, and they work. Bless him.
Yeah.
And this is just further tension. This is good, like conflict setting and plot setting. Like there is a definitive. This is going to have to end soon.
Yeah.
Police are going to be on the way.
Yeah, true. And especially to try and find the sheriff's car's outside. You're not really going to hide that, are you?
No, yeah.
So
what's the thing? It's the old ticking clock, basically.
Yeah.
But intensified. There was already the ticking clock based on completing the book, and now you've got an intensifier added to that. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. And so it's like, right, tonight we're going to die, which would scare anyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does his best. He says, "I love you. Let's get the, let's do it. Let's kill ourselves." And as she's excited for that, he hides some, the same gasoline she used before, hides it down the back of his trousers. And yeah, he goes up and finishes the book.
Oh,
and,
this was great, this scene.
Yeah, so she puts the gun in her pocket, brings in the tray with the champagne, 1 glass and 1 cigarette. And she says, "Oh, did I do good?" And he says, "Almost. You need a glass for yourself." And she's really excited and like, "Oh, I'm part of this. I'm finally with the man I love," and all that. Being a mental case.
They did another thing with like the class stuff where they have her pronounce Dom Perignon incorrectly.
Dom Peg, yeah, she should have called it Champagne as well.
Yeah,
oh, yes,
Champagne.
It was an interesting sort of consistent beat to add in there, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's not going to know how to pronounce French, so yeah.
So interestingly, this is also from the director's commentary. In the original book, Sheldon doesn't burn the novel. He burns a copy, like a decoy.
Okay.
And was it Rob Reiner says he reckons that sort of subconsciously Stephen King couldn't make him do it.
No.
Like it was subconsciously Stephen King's just like, no, it's got to be a decoy. Can't inflict costs that big.
Yeah, I mean, if you're forced to write a novel you don't want to write, it's different for me because I'm not a writer. But if you are a writer, you don't want to waste your work, do you? But I mean, yeah.
But I suppose, unlike the first burning, he's not invested in this book, is he?
No, he's done it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, or is it the kind of thing? Oh no, because I guess he'll taken satisfaction out of the fact he's written a novel, but at the same time, he'll get greater satisfaction just out of hurting Annie. I think, which is actually probably fair enough. It's like building the sandcastle for your little brother or something, and then just kicking it down as soon as he gets to see it.
Yeah.
And there's also
Something like
some
that.
dark fun in just sort of like you get a picture of kind of how hokey the Misery novels are. Like this love triangle between Misery, was it Ian and Winthorne?
Yeah.
And I like the sort of subtle build-up of detail you get around what these books are actually like.
Yeah, it's like, oh, does she ever meet her father? Oh, well, now you'll never know. It just burns it. Which is great, yeah. So as it burns, she she gets down screaming no, trying to put it out, and as she's putting it out, he just picks up the typewriter and bonks her on the head. Go to horny jail. And yeah, that kind of not, well, it really, really hurts her, but it doesn't knock her out quite, because her arm catches fire after that and she puts it out.
Yeah.
And he kind of didn't have a plan after that, because to be fair, it's a heavy typewriter. You'd think it'd kill her. But yeah, she just gets straight back up. Well, no, she moves over, she grabs the gun and shoots him in the shoulder. Which I'm like, oh wow. But there are only 2 bullets in it, and they then have a bit of a grapple session, and he pushes her down, and she fires the other bullet. So it's like, this is the thing that I really like films do. They count bullets.
Did you
have a reason to count the bullets?
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you note what she said in this scene as well?
No.
I'm gonna kill you, you lying cocksucker.
Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah, I did.
Wait a minute. But
now, wait a
Yeah,
minute.
that's swearing.
But now, wait a minute, guys. Wait a minute. She doesn't like profanity, guy. She doesn't like profanities.
What's your profanity?
So yeah, just this was the blink and you miss it moment.
It's
Like,
interesting that it slips out.
She's so enraged that her moral sense, her morals slip in that moment because of how how outraged she is. For me, it was that moment that she finally lost control, like really lost control.
Oh yeah, she's just, well, she wants to kill him anyway, and the novel he wrote for her. Or I think it's because she knows basically she's never going to know what happens to Misery.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. I like this whole fat scene because you can see here, she's like, I don't know what's she actually trying to run for. She's trying to run for something.
Shotgun, maybe.
Maybe. But basically,
maybe
he trips.
Grab something, but he has to swing his
leg round.
poor tortured legs into it. It's like, oh, it's so bad.
She might be after the shotgun, actually. Yeah, that's a good shot.
Oh, good point. Good point.
Or a knife or something. Yeah. But no, he swings his leg out, and she.
Maybe the penguin.
It's not a good fall. It's probably one of the worst falls you can have. It was like a temple hit the typewriter, and she is properly knocked out. So he starts crawling away, and it's, oh no, she isn't knocked out. I'm like, oh my god, how's she alive? But she's clearly nearly there. She's clearly really weak because he's got no legs, and he's still managing to just about crawl away from her. And so in the end, he picks up a metal statue of a pig, and as she tries to turn him over, he just smacks her in the side of her head again. And third time's the charm. She's dead.
it is completely unglamorous, just like the blood
Yeah.
down her. I think the blood down her face is kind of an echo of Carrie, but I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not certain about that. That could be a complete reach, but
Well, it's pure rage, isn't it? It's pure rage, like
I
in
mean,
Carrie.
I think the blood down her face is in reference to her getting bludgeoned in the head 3 times, personally.
I'm thinking of the cover for Carrie. I'll get the novel up,
But
just
pig's blood.
see, it's not a total reach. But yeah,
I mean,
I just
there are
love
2
how
pigs in this film.
Hey.
I love how brutal it is. I love how messy it is.
Yeah.
They inflict proper damage on each other, and it's, you know, someone mentioned in the chat that Annie is actually only 5'3". So she's tiny, but he's in a wheelchair, and it's they have to properly go at it to settle it, and it's just savage.
Yeah, it's great. I really like the climax, and then you've got a little epilogue scene after where he can walk again, but with a walking cane, a stick even, and he goes to a restaurant in New York with his agent, and she says, "Oh, your new book's done well. You seem to be out of misery. I thought you'd be happy." And he just said, "Well, I wrote this book for me. I don't really care how well it does. I'm just happy I got away from having to write misery." And then she says, like, "Oh, do you want to write a non-fiction about your trauma?" And he says, "If I didn't know you any better, I'd say you're trying to make me bring up the worst part of my life just so we can make a quick buck." It is a very agent response, isn't it? It's a bit. All I could think of was like Joe Rogan after someone's been knocked out in MMA, and he's just there as they're like bleeding, can barely compose himself. So he's just got the microphone in their face.
Yeah, and he's like, "Yeah, tell me how you feel." Like,
it felt like that. But but he brings up the trauma, and he says, basically he says he's got PTSD and it still affects him, and he says, even though I know she's dead, he basically says her spirit lives on, but he says it in a slightly different way. But so he sees Annie there, and she picks up a knife as well as she's pushing it. He kind of looks a bit worried, but I think he knows he's having a vision, and then and then it turns out it's not Annie, obviously. It's just a waitress, different woman in the next scene, in the next shot. And she says, "Oh, are you Paul Shell?" And he says, "Yeah." She says, "I'm your number 1 fan." Yeah.
She might be now. There was an opening.
Oh, yeah, this is true.
And he's like, "Oh, thank you, that's very kind." And then he looks a bit worried, and then it fades to black, and that's it. That is misery. They're not a misery to get through, I'll say.
And the song that plays out is Liberace.
Liberace.
Yeah.
Yes, that was mentioned before, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a cute little, I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places. Oh, a very knowing song choice. I actually had this playing at my wedding. I managed to sneak that into the playlist.
Nice. I'm not gonna have it at my wedding.
Oh, weak.
Liberace sounds gay or Italian. Take your pick.
Well, I've got some bad news to break to you, Haryan, but it's both, I'm afraid. But never mind. Okay, folks, we've got to the end of Misery, and it is a time for some closing thoughts. It is a time for some scores out of 12 burgers. And while you're putting your own scores in the chat, I guess we should do some summation, some closing thoughts. And yes, no sequel.
Yeah, if you want.
Queen Boudica Radio. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can do some thoughts. Yes, luckily there was no sequel. How would you write one? Yeah. Right, closing thoughts time. Right, is it TCG first?
Maybe TCG.
Yeah, I mean,
you wanna go? Yeah,
sure. I mean, I can keep this short. This is a masterpiece. This film, it's brilliant from start to finish. The tone is amazing. The scenes, the speed of the film, or the pace of it, I should say, is really good. Kathy Bates and James Caan, just absolutely incredible actors. But I think personally, I don't think anybody else could have been better for the roles, and I know they considered quite a few people for Paul Sheldon's role. But yeah, James Caan, absolutely the man for it, and obviously Kathy Bates, absolutely iconic in this film. Yeah, do you know what? I think, in terms of top 5 films, this is one of them. Easily.
Nice.
I mean, I don't know if we're giving burger ratings yet, but
we can give burger ratings.
You want to go now?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't give it 12. I feel like I can't really give it a perfect 12. But I would probably say 11.5 burgers. So 11 and one half-eaten burger. All the toppings, a little bit of cheese thrown in just for some of the scenes with the sheriff. But yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, one of the burgers only half eaten because your jaw dropped when the hobbling scene happened.
Yeah.
Oh, chat, good stuff. Oh, I'm happy with this.
Yeah, some people are being pretty harsh. I think it's got a 9.
All right. Okay,
got a 9 there.
I will
Lots of bacon.
Oh gosh, yeah, loads of bacon in this one, absolutely. Yeah. So I'd echo everything you said, TCG. This is a really tight cat and mouse game, and you can rewatch it and see actually how many moves ahead Annie Wilkes is. It's really interesting, them sort of playing off against each other. And something that just is so important is just that you like everyone on screen. You enjoy spending time with these characters. Especially, I think the sheriff and his wife are just so much fun to be with. It is fun seeing their scenes and managing to balance the tone of like very intense, psychotic episodes with light, bouncy fun and quirky old-timey phrases and a pet pig. Balancing that and the film not being a mess is an incredible achievement. And then it's topped off for me by the incredibly important, I've got to have a theme. And I love the theme of this. It's deep. It's got the fun meta commentary of the artist effectively being trapped by his audience. He's dependent on them. They're kind of the boss of him in a way. And cheeky writer inside jokes in there about Stephen King's sort of occasional hack writing that he knows he does. I loved it. It's sort of a very knowing film in that way. So massively elevates it. So for me, I cannot give it the perfect score. There is no Tony Todd in this. There are tiny nitpicks that we've made. But it's just so full of lasting imagery and rewatchability. It's a strong 11. It is a strong 11 out of 10 with a good amount of ketchup, loads of bacon.
Yeah.
Lots of Misery the Pig. So much Misery the Pig in these burgers.
That's where she's gone after the film.
Yeah, Zoe, that's the answer to your question. Misery the Pig has gone into reviewing the scores.
I'd be scared. I'd be scared to eat those bacon burgers. I don't know what happened. Is it technically cannibalism if like the pig eats the people and then you eat the pig?
There's a question for the ages. Carl Wilkes is still being worked on. We saw.
Well, luckily it's a question you'll never have to worry about.
Right. Panther, we do an out of 12 rating here, so I'll upgrade it. I'll upscale to 12 for you. And Haryan, would you like to give your score, sir?
Shit film, 1 out of 12.
And
no, as we went through, everything in this plot is very tight. It's all very, very well written, and you got the whole justification for Annie being 1 or 2 steps ahead of all of Paul's moves. got the justification for why she's a mental case, why she acts the way she does. You even have the justification for some of the contrivances, such as his, car crashing, and even then, some people, it leaves enough room for fan fiction. Did Annie cause the crash? Who knows?
Oh yeah.
And things like that. And then there's also the thing with the pig. So it leaves all this extra stuff, which I really like. And then obviously there's a side plot with the sheriff and his wife that I found as good comedic relief we needed. I just can't get over that lock. So yeah, but that's easily fixable. So it's an easy 11 out of 12 with cheese for the sheriff, because I loved him so much.
Oh, very nice. I'll just answer quickly. Queen Boudica Radiant, you're asking about some of the nitpicks. So some of the things we had an issue with were, we're not super sure it's justifiable that Annie keeps a hollowed out phone. You can quibble exactly why she doesn't act for ages when she knows he's getting out and about. But that's not super bad. That's a nitpick. And you can highlight the lock picking is not really working. And a little bit about the news broadcast after the car is discovered. So we're talking very nitpicky nitpicks here.
Oh, God, yeah.
Well, all three you can fix in a sentence.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got a strong 11 out of 12 from Haryan. All right.
Yes,
I'm rubbing my hands here.
All right, here we go. Prediction time. So, prediction for Haryan. Haryan loved Misery, especially the cat and mouse play and counterplay aspect of the story. He appreciates the story having a strong focus and clear conflict with imposed time pressure, i.e. the finishing of the book and then Buster coming looking for Paul Sheldon. He found the hobbling scene extremely effective, i.e. winced massively. He does have some issues, namely, why did Paul swerve off the road? If Annie knows Paul has been getting out for ages, why does she wait so long to hobble him? He objects to the lockpicking with a hair clip. See? He does not agree that Misery the pig is the most adorable star of the film, alas. Overall, once he got into it, he found Misery captivating and awards it 10 out of 12, as well as some unintended cheese.
Yeah,
pretty much spot on, except for the score. Just 1 out, I'd say.
Only 10, yeah. And you bring up why does she take so long to hobble him? I mean, I guess headcanon for that would be when she goes out, when she's depressed, she's out to get the sedative, so then she can prepare for the hobbling. That'd be what I'd say there.
And also, I'd say probably just to sort of add to that, at the time when she does the hobbling, his legs are in a much better condition at the time, because you see them at the beginning and they're all like they're in a splint and they're all in a right state, but they've got their colour back, they look relatively straight given the circumstances.
Yeah.
So it's just resetting it, isn't it?
So yeah, I think this is one that Tash could watch as well, because it's not really, it's more crime horror, something like that, I guess, rather than crime thriller rather than direct gore horror.
Yeah, it's very intense. It doesn't stick on the horror all the time, but it goes there. Oof, lovely.
Devontae finally got your name.
Hey.
Have to do it. I have to do it every film. All right. Well, that is us with Misery. Again, one of the highest scorers, and unsurprisingly very popular, seeing as it won in an absolute landslide. Tash, you are gonna have to watch Misery. You are gonna have to do it.
Are we gonna have our ankles broke now?
Just make sure she doesn't aim any Lucozade bottles at your ankles. You'll be all right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Why would you throw it in the dark, Carrie?
Rounding off, folks. Rounding off. I've got to focus on. I've remembered what we're doing next week. I'm just checking my list. We have an interesting thing to accommodate, which I think I might reveal in a bit later. But suffice to say, we are not going straight into a new arc because we have to accommodate something a bit ambitious. So next week we are going to be doing. Bloody hell! We're really doing it. This is your chance to back out now. We
What is
don't
it?
have to do. We don't have to do this TCG. We don't have to do this film.
Oh God.
It's not the 1,000 Courts one, is it?
No.
Okay.
We are
Oh,
going
God.
to help you prepare for a Christmassy horror
Ah. It's
with
Christmas.
Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yes. Yes. Oh, buckle up, boys and girls.
Well, I had a load of sequels.
Watch your Silent Night, Deadly Night, the original, and yes, we will be featuring some of the second because Frank.
Well, the
there's no
second,
way
I would say the second one is pretty much the first one with about 40 minutes extra footage.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yes.
Everyone knows. Everyone knows. We are going to be doing that, and then the week after, I'm going to do you a more serious Christmassy horror. But we're going to have a bit of fun next week. It'll be a good laugh. So watch Silent Night, Deadly Night. In the meantime, I don't know. I've been editing a couple of extra videos, and the work on the Christmas special is ongoing. I've brought props because, oh my gosh, apparently this is what my life has come to now, buying props for a video. Someone stop me before I go full Doug Walker. This is not good. But there probably isn't going to be an additional video from me in the next week. But I will keep you updated. However, over to TCG. Anything to share?
Yeah, so on Friday night, myself and Proper Horror Show, along with Mergoot and Zen, were on my channel where we were covering Florida Mans again. We were doing a Laughing at the Florida Man session. It was actually the second one after the first one we did was like 6 months ago. So that went really well. I really enjoyed it. So this Friday, we're going to be doing it again. It's going to be slightly later time of 9 p.m. UK time, just because my missus has a work as like a Christmas do, so I've got to take her there to do that, so it's gonna be a little bit later. Hopefully Proper Horror Show will be joining me, and Tash, the reason why I wanted you to stick around was just to let you know that Haryan isn't going to be available Friday night, so he's going to be with me.
Friendship ended with Tash.
Yeah.
No.
So just letting you know now, Tash, I'm borrowing your boyfriend for an hour. All right.
I have not committed to anything.
He told me privately that he's definitely committed to this,
Fuck
and
off.
you're
gonna get a Luke Save bottle thrown at me again.
It's all right. Hopefully, she'll hit the lower lip, and then it'll balance itself out again.
Free lip fillers.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, great. Come on, catch all three of us off this channel going rogue and on an adventure on that Crown Guy's channel on Friday.
I've got the stories. Just to add to that, for those who don't know, the concept of it is I get 5 stories, Florida Men. I don't read beyond the headlines, so I don't know what the main body of the article is, and I'll get my guests to pick a number between 1 and 5, and we'll basically go through that. They will read the article in their bestest, sexiest voices, and yeah, what was it we did last week? We managed to unintentionally somehow connect Mario Kart to these Florida Men articles.
It was Mario Kart IRL. It just happened. The magic happened.
Do you still have the thumbnail or the meme that you made?
Oh gosh, I will find it for you in a second. I'm going to look for it now.
All right, just to get people curious. It's actually in the general chat in my Discord, my little private one. Shh. I'll get that, and I'll get that, and I'll send it to you. But yeah, just in case you want to get an idea as to what was actually discussed, I'm going to send Chloe the meme that she very, very neatly drafted up at very short notice. and go check it out.
Nice.
There it is.
I could try and explain it, but frankly, you
Oh.
kind of got to listen to how it all comes together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Chrominion with the late rating 11.
Yes.
I forgive it. I forgive the lateness. If you're giving it an 11, that's brilliant. All right, lovely. And Haryan, anything to shill, sir?
Yes, I did Laughing at the Guardian last Friday. Had Economic Erudite and Xenon, along with P-Man, talking quite a bit about Carl Rittenhouse, and then I can't even remember well. It's the Guardian. It was nuts, and they were idiots. It was great, and economics came up a lot. It was very funny. Zen was told why minimum wage is stupid. As for video, yes. Yeah, Jack's really good with his economics. As for videos, I'll probably make one tomorrow. Don't know what on yet. Might be about gender neutral crap going on in the European Commission and in the RAF. Because I really want to hurt my brain tomorrow. But that's it.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Fantastic. Okay, well, folks, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for voting for Misery. Thank you to my guests for being on. As Dinah had to drop out, unfortunately, I would say go and give the Mallard a chance. It's a good little website. Go look up her writings on the Mallard. You find it's a UK online magazine and some interesting stuff on there. But I'm going to leave it off there. Thanks to everyone who watched. Thank you, watched live and kept the chat nice and lively. Thanks to everyone who is enjoying the replay. And thanks, y'all. Cheers.
#Shield Gang.